This episode of Breaking Down the Ring is brought to you by Chawla Legal Group Estate Planning. Estate planning is for everyone. Whether you're worth $4,000 or $40 million, estate planning can help protect you, your family, and your assets while you're alive and well. Damn. To register for an upcoming workshop today, go to chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157. Again, that's chawlalegal.com/workshops or call 586-273-7157.
What the Rock is cooking.
Ladies and gentlemen, New Year, New BDR episode for you. We are not going to talk anything about Wrestle Kingdom 14. We are not going to talk about things that are upcoming. We're going to get all of that next week as we become live from the Podcast Detroit studios here in Royal Oak. Blah, blah. But this week, we are going to do something that nobody else has done. A best of 2019 and a best of decade show when 2019 and the decade is over. We're going to get into all that and more this week as we
break the ring down.
And that's true.
Woo! You don't know what hard times are, Daddy. The cream will rise to the top. Oh, yeah. Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. You just made the list. This right here is a fan favorite.
Hey, this is professional wrestler and professional podcaster Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
My name is Killer Cross.
This is The Smoke Show, Scarlett Bordeaux.
What's up, guys? The After Machine, Brian Cage.
This is Ryan from Pro Wrestling Tees.
Sadly, you are not listening to The Art of Wrestling, but you made a decent choice because you're listening.
You are now listening to...
And you're listening
to...
You listen to Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring.
Breaking Down the Ring. Bring it down.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the most inappropriate motherfucking show in the motherfucking world in the motherfucking 2020. You're listening to Breaking Down the Ring, and we are your ring crew.
What's up, niggas? It's Smitty.
It's Nick.
And me, the
Whoa. Friendly neighborhood Nicka.
He's allowed to say it. It's Case, Season Case. And me, the almighty one, Mikey himself, baby. Look, man, this show's going to be crazy. We're starting off 2020 with some power, not with 3 R's, 1 R, because we're not trying to trademark infringe. You know, we're going to make an impact with a K. With a K.
It's going to get raw.
But yeah,
with 3 W's.
No, we're going to roar through 2020. It's the roaring 20s.
Okay.
I'm going to smack down some bitches. I'm going to lay it down while smacking. Right? You know what I'm saying?
You down the pipe while smacking that
that's
ass.
and look, man, I'm going to go dynamite on you bitches. That should have been Smitty's line. Because we're definitely stereotyping Smitty in 2020. He kicked it off by stealing my shit.
I was drunk. In my defense, I was that drunk.
2020 as a stereotype. As a stereotype.
But I was drunk as shit, yo.
Smitty had a stereotype.
Cocaine's a hell of a drug.
Okay,
if I had an over, I'd probably do it like
all right, stop it. So, look, all right, here's the deal. Let me fucking talk to myself. Hi, Mikey, how are you? I'm great, thanks for asking. I was just saying this. Everyone does a best of the year before the year's up. It's annoying, right? If now Smitty's like, oh, Impact did a best of on Saturday. Well, that's because they did it at Best of Impact. Of course their shit is done. But the problem is, not all the shit is done before the year ends, right? NWA had a show New Year's Eve, December 31st. What happens if one of those matches was the best fucking match you've ever seen in your life? In your life, cracker. So...
Cocaine is one hell of a drug.
It's not fair to knock that out of your decade or best of year. Fucking, this is the best selling album of 2019. In December 3rd is what you're calling it? What? There's a couple albums coming out. How you know the Frozen 2 soundtrack ain't gonna blow the fuck up?
Bitch.
The first one did. You had to let that go off the soundboards because everyone was listening to it.
Zing.
They were finishing each other's sandwiches in summer.
They're building snowmen and shit.
Right, dog. So I wanted to do something different. I wanted to do a best of 2019 and a best of the decade when 2019 and the decade were fucking over. Now, if you want to be a fucking nerd and go, the decade hasn't started until 2021 yet. That's what it is. It was the year 1. No, motherfucker. It was 0 BC, bitch. 0 AD. Whatever it is for Christ.
That would make decades 9 years.
No. No, sir.
0 to 0 is 10.
No, sir. No.
0 to 10 is
See,
10.
there's fucking nerds that are saying it's 2020 is the last year of the decade, and it started in fucking 2011. That's what it is. That's 10 years, right?
I don't
but
like
but that's what I'm saying. It's like no one's like MC Hammer's "You Can't Touch This" was the best song of the 80s when it came out in 1990. No, it was one of the best songs of the 90s.
Right.
So somehow
that
one
digit
year
in the
disappeared.
tens place changes.
Right. The first decade ever was only 9 years. That's what it was. The first decade ever was only 9 years. It wasn't even a decade. It was a decade-ish. Decade-ish. Ishade. It was decade-ish. So, look, we're going to get into I'm also fucking blabbering because Z's still not here, and he said he was coming, but he's going to be late. The problem is, like, at least his fiance's not late, I guess. That's a good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
Right, there was he made a fucking Facebook post where he was like, all right, breaking, here's the news. It was like his little nephew wearing a I'm going to be a big cousin shirt. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I'm like, oh, it was his other sister. All right, cool. All right, so look, let's talk about the categories we're going to talk about. What's up, guys? Key Mills should be watching this. Ignorance. Alexa Bliss is not ignorant. Howie mainly. What's up, man? All right, guys. So I love the fact that we finally got Periscope chats happening. Look at this shit. All right. Best male wrestler of 2019. Best female wrestler of 2019. Best match of 2019. The best pay-per-view of 2019. Right? Best brand in 2019. Favorite moment of 2019. And the worst moment of 2019. That is what's going on that we're talking about for the year. For the decade, we just have 4 categories because it's a lot to talk about. Top 5 wrestlers of the decade, men and women, all put together. Maybe, if you pick a girl. Top matches, top 3 matches of the decade. Your favorite moment of the decade and the worst moment of the decade. Smitty, I want you to give me your number 3 on your list of best male wrestler for 2019.
Number 3.
Yeah, number 3, dog.
I.
Whoa, man, it's still stereotyping. Wait,
Hey,
hold
you
on.
started
Hold on. I'm sorry. Before we start, we need to toast with a little bit of the bubbly. We have it. Smitty, put that bottle in the fucking camera's face. I want to see that shit. Get closer. You step away. Yeah, look at that. That's right. We got a little bit of the bubbly. So open it, face it that way.
Yeah, Drew.
Because there's no
Face it
fucking
at my mouth.
There's no fucking technology over there, and I don't trust. No, don't act. You fucking idiot. Yes, Lana and Lashley getting married is the best moment of 2019. Very good.
That's the best moment of the decade.
That's from Jesse from Pro Wrestling Scorecards. We all know how
Jesse,
smart he
that's
is.
the best moment ever in pro wrestling out of any wrestling promotion that's ever existed in the face of the fucking planet.
Cork. Smells like champagne.
A little bit of champagne.
Little bit of the bubbly.
Thank you. Smells like Jericho's balls.
Really? Oh my God. He has the balls of the bubbly. Bubbly balls. I don't know if you want your balls bubbly, folks. I don't know if you want that. All right.
Let's cover this. So
Could you hurry up and pour? Jesus, fuck, man. Smitty's taking 1.5 years to pour a fucking... I don't need a whole glass, dog. full shit. Come on, man, hurry up.
I'll bring out the bottle.
Motherfucker, you're not drinking out of the bottle. Jesus Christ.
Should have shook it before you popped it.
Jesse says, "You bet, Nick. Best moment of the year.
God damn.
Decade."
Bam.
All right.
Pow.
Cheers.
Happy New Year, BDR.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
2020. New Year.
Ooh.
Same us. This shit tastes like ass and acorns. I'm just kidding. It tastes like champagne. All right.
It's not bad.
Not bad.
Champagne.
Not bad at all.
All right, Smitty. Number 3 on your best male wrestler of 2019.
2019.
Is there any orange juice?
My number 3 on best male wrestler 2019 is Cody.
Why is he number 3?
Not the best wrestler, just everything he's done in 2019 as a personality, and the fact that he's probably one of the most over guys in professional wrestling right now.
So you're telling me your number 3 best male wrestler of the year is a guy not because of wrestling. Okay, Snick. Give me your number 3, my Snicker.
I'm going to go with
Love Snickers.
my people, Kofi Kingston.
Oh, number 3 on the year.
3.
Why? That's a hot take, brother. I wouldn't. That's a woo.
He's my 5.
Damn, that's even hotter because you know why.
Yeah, because Smitty loves the brothers.
I would say he's number 3 because, number 3 is a prestigious
Yeah, it's
spot.
up there, right?
But
You're standing at the podium.
I don't think that it would have happened had other things happened. So at the start of the year, there were a couple injuries that kind of squeezed him into that picture.
That dude broke it so much he lost his first name.
It strapped him to the moon.
Right.
Now, that's not taking that much away from it, but it takes a little bit away from me because while I think it was definitely his time, it was overdue. It just kind of took away a little bit of the luster for me.
Okay. All right. My number 3 is
Dana Brooke.
No, that's Batista's number 1. Okay.
That's the reason she's been on TV so much.
So my number 3 is the current NXT champion, Mr. Adam Cole. Baby. I have him at number 3 because a couple things. First off, the match quality that Adam Cole has had this year has been spectacular. It's 2 out of 3 falls match with Johnny Gargano. Holy shit. How he acted in War Games, how he performed at War Games, only then to go on to Survivor Series, which was post everything he did with Seth Rollins and Daniel Bryan on SmackDown and Raw, respectively. Adam Cole has been a match bout top contender, right? You look at this year and you're like, God damn, Adam Cole is always up there in a conversation that you're having, right? It's not the upper echelon because my number 2, I think, is the work rate upper echelon. I'm just you can't talk about male wrestlers in 2019 and not talk about Adam Cole. He's just too damn good. NXT champion, second ever Triple Crown NXT champion. You know, right after Gargano, he took it from Gargano, literally. So I don't think that you can, again, have a 2019 conversation about male wrestlers and not have Adam Cole in your top 3, in my personal opinion. Number 2 on the best male wrestlers of 2019, Anthony Christopher Smith.
Oh, nigga, don't be using my government name out here like that.
2020, new year, new name.
No, that's the name I've had my entire fucking life.
See what happens when you steal shit?
For you on BDR. That's right. Steal some shit again. Now everyone knows where to find you.
Smitty's address is 72946. Never mind.
Somerset. I don't know. I actually know what street he lives on, and it's not Somerset. It's Devonshire. Go ahead, Smitty.
You're ready to sandwich in my street right now.
248-392. No.
Say number 2 for 2019. Jericho.
Jericho, number 2. Why do you have Chris motherfucking Le Champion, little bit of the bubbly motherfucking Jericho? Or number 2 for yourself, Smitty.
Just Jericho is redefined, just as usually redefined himself in 2019. Had great matches, has some great matches with a lot of young guys. and is just doing his damn thing.
Jericho loves the young boys. Is that what you're trying to say?
The guy's got himself and almost anybody else he's been in that ring with over.
All right. Nick, the Dick.
Me?
You. Give me your number deuce for 21,999.
I'm going to drop a deuce.
Who is it?
I'm going to say Adam Cole.
Adam Cole's your number 2.
He's my
All
number
right.
2. Like you were saying, the match quality. First of all, that match with Gargano in NXT New York was
Fire.
fucking flaming fire.
Fire.
Fire. Everything leading up to Survivor Series with the matches that he had on Raw and SmackDown, NXT TakeOver, Survivor Series, the things he did with Undisputed Era, his promos, just the way he's over with the crowd, all of it. Just, I mean, it was a toss-up between him and my number 1, and I could flip-flop depending on my mood, but definitely my number in my top 3. Number 2 sounds good.
Do you have any flip-flops?
I've got 2 pair.
2 pairs.
Yep.
Nice. Give me 2 pair.
That's why.
I need 2 pair. Fair.
Get to stop.
My number 2 is not anybody that. Well, hold on. Before we go, we're gonna talk. Greg Johnson posted his top 3.
What's up, Greg?
Greg?
Number
Greg-
3, Adam Cole. I don't care where you know him from. Number 2, Kofi motherfucking Kingston. And number 1, Bray Wyatt. Hot take there, Greg. Hot take, but Bray Wyatt at number 1 of the year. My number 2 is a guy that is not wrestling in the States unless that company travels to the States, Mr. Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay is a man who, in my opinion, and in a lot of people's opinion, has been in quite a few of the top matches of the year, right? There is his performance. There's at G1 Climax. That was really good. I believe he went 9-1-1. I think I could be wrong on that. Maybe I'm just thinking of the last night final record. He is just been great. His best of the Super Juniors.
He won Best of the Super Juniors.
Yep, won Best of the Super Juniors, and his match with Bandito, and that is considered one of the top matches of the year. Especially at the G1 Climax, his match with Okada is considered one of the top matches of the year as well. So when you're in 2 different matches with 2 different opponents, and these matches are considered some of the top of the year, you really have to think maybe it's the wrestler too. So Will Ospreay, in my honest opinion, worker in ring, is the best male wrestler of 2019. But the only reason he's not number 1 is because he's not, and it's kind of a spoiler, he hasn't transcended his business. He is not, he's amazing to watch. He's amazing to watch. But because he hasn't transcended the match quality in New Japan to be more of a conversation, other than his Twitter feud with Seth Rollins, but that's because a global guy put you on to something, right? He acknowledged you. So Seth Rollins kind of put Will Ospreay into a bigger light there. But again, great call because Will Ospreay deserves it. So Will Ospreay is my number 2 of the year. Again, so Greg did it on our comments. So we want to know, guys, if you're watching live, we got quite a few of y'all. We want to know your top 3 male wrestlers of 2019, who you thought was the best. Smitty, your number 1 in your male wrestler category of 2019 is?
Mine actually went to Adam Cole, especially with everything he's done on the improv leading up to the Survivor Series build.
Okay.
And that was one of the things that kind of put, just stuff he had to do on an improv tip, pretty much.
On the tip.
Okay, that's a good explanation. Nick, your number 1 male wrestler of 2019.
It could be a bit of a hot take for some people.
Ooh.
I'm going to go with Samir Singh. No.
Just going to sing his praises.
I'm gonna say Jericho.
All right.
Because to me, wrestler encompasses obviously in-ring work, but everything you're doing from your promos to what you're doing for the business to what you're doing to put other people over. I think that he's just one of the most well-rounded people of 2019. What he's done for AEW, whether you like them or not, and whether you think that they're going to succeed or not, he's definitely helped them get to a level that they're being talked about in the way they are. He hasn't put on some of the best matches, but he's put on some very good matches this year. So that's why I think it could be a hot take, because he's not along the lines of what you guys had said, like Smitty with Adam Cole. Obviously, I think Cole's put on some better matches, but just as an overall package, Chris Jericho for 2019.
All right. My number one wrestler for 2019 is a guy that not many people have heard of, but it's ridiculous how good he is, and that is Chris Jericho. I don't know if you guys have heard about this guy. This guy, Chris Jericho, is the AEW champion, right? He's
With
Le
a G.
Champion.
Yep.
Yeah, Le Champion. No, basically everything, same thing, Nick. Everything you said. It's spectacular what Chris Jericho has done for this business. And that's the only reason he's above Ospreay. Is not because, excuse me, jeez.
Goddamn.
His match quality. Because if we're just going, who's the better match quality performer? Ospreay all day.
Sure.
Right?
And I said we were just gonna play a match quality. Like Michael Elgin would be one of my top 3 as well.
Exactly. I agree, Smitty. But Chris Jericho has done for AEW what Hogan did for WCW, right? WCW, when Bischoff took it over, it was still World Championship Wrestling, right? It was all right.
It was floating water, pretty much.
But when he got Hulk Hogan, it changed. People started paying a little bit of attention because it's Hulk Hogan. This is an iconic character, right? And then
Yeah, brother.
WCW went on to be one of the best promotions for a couple years. And then WWE was like, no, pee on you. And then they peed and drowned him.
R-Kelly'd.
Right, yeah. They R. Kelly WCW and drowned him to death.
Molested and peed.
death.
Ooh.
Yes.
Then
beat
add a little
him-
bit- add a
they
little
beat
Ted
him in the
Bundy.
shut up. They beat him in the ratings. New Year, same fucking Smitty. Won't stop talking. You think I cut your mic, but I didn't. Chris Jericho coming out and saying he was a full-time member of AEW changed that promotion starting up. Let's be very honest. Him hitting that podium at that event, people were like, oh, shit, I know that name. And it's very well they should.
Without even having a match.
Because in the last fucking decade, Chris Jericho has switched himself and changed himself so much that I mean, come on, man. The Festival of Friendship is WWE stuff. And that's something Chris Jericho had to fight for because Vince wasn't there that day. Triple H was running the show. And Triple H was like, nope, you're not doing this. You're not doing this that way. And Chris is like, I'm going to call Vince because I got approval already for all this. And he had to call Vince, and Vince had to tell Mr. Levesque, because that's Triple H's real name, he had to tell him, listen here, damn it. That Festival of Friendship is going to be good shit. Good shit. That's Mr. Chris Jericho is amazing. You hear Fozzy? I love Fozzy. Let him do what he's doing.
Waka waka.
And so that is all Chris Jericho's mind. And and that's the thing. It's Chris Jericho, like you said, Nick, all the shit that he's done, but his mind is something that you can see honestly out there in the open in AEW. Him as the champion is the smartest fucking call they could have made. Because when they went to live television, people were like, I know that guy who's holding the belt. I love Hangman Page. I'm not trying to shit on Hangman Page. Kind of. Because that motherfucker still hasn't watched Shawshank Redemption.
Still.
It's 2020.
You bastard.
And that bitch hasn't watched Shawshank Redemption. So I commented on his post on Twitter, and I said, and you wonder why you weren't chosen as champion. Think we found it? That's why you're not champion. You're not Shawshank, man. Hangman. Yo, cowboy shit? It ain't Prison Break shit. Spoilers. But, again, Chris Jericho, the name, what he's done. Like Smitty said, he is a guy that is putting so many people over. You know what I'm saying? Look, Chris Jericho should be around your number one in any category for the best male wrestler of 2019. And if he's not, you're honestly doing yourself a disservice. Honestly, because you need to pay attention to this dude. I can't wait to see what he does in 2020. I honestly can't. Because I think I mean, okay, not can't. He's already done stuff. Wrestle Kingdom 14. He won the match at Wrestle Kingdom 14 over Tanahashi. Did I say that right? Yeah.
Yes, it was Tanahashi.
It's and then he made a post, put up on Twitter. The forbidden door has been slammed shut because there's the talk. You know,
Yeah.
Japan, they gotta work with AEW, but they gotta work with ROH. Blah 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 blah. I thought Jericho was gonna lose, not because I thought that door was gonna be open right away, but a little bit later in the year. So it's very possible that it happens. Look, all I'm saying is Chris Jericho is doing things in other promotions, in his current promotion, and he is your number one guy, and he's making other people look good as well. That's smart wrestling, smart booking by Cody and the Bucks and Kenny, right? And smart playing it up by Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho, number one male wrestler, 2019, Mikey's list, the all Mikey ones list, and Nick's list.
And mine. Yep.
Wasn't Smitty's list, though.
Boom, 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 boom.
He's number 2 on mine.
Smitty hates Jericho. Anyway, next category we are going to talk about is the best female wrestler of 2019. What, Smitty? Why are you laughing?
Because we already had the conversation, you already knew who mine was.
Oh, he didn't even tell me, and I knew his number one was, but I want to know who your number 3 is, sir.
My number 3 was Rhea Ripley.
Rhea Ripley. Why Rhea Ripley, sir?
Because Rhea Ripley, pretty much until this year, was kind of a relatively unknown. And from watching everything she's done in NXT UK, as becoming the inaugural NXT Women's Champion.
Was that this year?
No, that was last year.
Last year?
Was it last year? And this year, becoming inaugural NXT Women's Champion, and then being the first person to win both NXT Women's Championships. And she's also put on great matches throughout the last year
Okay.
with everybody she's worked with.
Oh, all right. Nickelodeon.
I gotta agree, honestly.
Number 3?
Number 3.
All right.
You know, yeah, she's done a lot this year. She's done a lot fast. Not too fast for me, but
Nice.
I do like where she's going. I liked her from the minute I saw her. When one of the first times was when we went back in, what was it, March to NXT in Royal Oak. When I saw her live, she had a match against Toni Storm that was really good, NXT UK. She's just doing a lot of really good things for that division right now, and she definitely deserves to be in that top 3.
I don't agree.
Fine.
I don't agree with either of you. Rhea Ripley isn't even in my top 3. And here's why. Because my number 3 is the girl that Rhea Ripley took the belt off of, Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler has been dominant in that women's division in NXT the entire fucking year. More than the year, right? Shayna Baszler has been so dominant that because of her dominance, everyone wanted to see Rhea Ripley beat her. Rhea Ripley had a great end to 2019, right? She started off 2019 dropping that NXT UK Women's Championship. I'm not saying Rhea Ripley's bad. As a matter of fact, she might be number 4 on my list. But she wasn't dominant enough to me the entire year. Shayna Baszler was. And again, Stefan, what's up? Stefan says hello, everybody. Say Stefan. Stefan.
What up, nigga?
We want to know everybody. We want to know
Stefan
everybody.
Speed.
Everybody's top 3 male wrestlers, top 3 female wrestlers of 2019, male wrestlers. Give me your best match, man. We want to know everybody. Talk to me, dogs and dogettes. But yes, Shayna Baszler.
I'm glad you didn't say dogs and bitches.
Almost. But I was like, no.
Bitches.
I'll call them dogettes. But yes, Shayna Baszler in 2019, when NXT came up and fucking did shit to WWE roster, people knew Shayna Baszler, right? She transcended NXT. Not a lot, right? But enough to where it was transcending. So I can't say that Rhea Ripley would have had a better end of the year if it wasn't for the Shayna Baszler build in NXT. So again, that's why I would put Shayna Baszler above Rhea Ripley. I'm not saying you guys are wrong. I'm not even saying you don't deserve to have Rhea Ripley in a conversation of the top, because she does. She does. If we were doing top 5, I guarantee you Rhea Ripley would be in mine. Number 2, Smitty. Your number 2 best female wrestler of 2019.
Charlotte Flair.
Charlotte Flair. Look at you. All right. Just makes me laugh my ass off at your number 1 then. Go ahead. Why Charlotte Flair?
just Charlotte's just Charlotte. She's one of the best female performers probably in a long time. But like I feel like the only reason she's my number 2 is I feel like she's pigeonholed by the way the WWE Women's Division is.
Okay. Nick.
I actually have as my number 2 Shayna Baszler.
Okay.
For many of the reasons that you said, because she had such a dominant 2019. Some of the best women's matches, NXT TakeOver 25 against Io Shirai. She had that match with Bianca Belair, Io Shirai, and Kairi Sane. That was insane.
I heard you did there. It's the...
And I don't think necessarily taking a loss, it doesn't knock you down a peg. It does something for Rhea Ripley. So she went out of 2019 with a bang, essentially. Mm-hmm. So, with that being said, number 2, Shayna motherfucking Baszler.
Nice. My number 2 is a girl that is doing something that no other girls, women, anything are doing in professional wrestling right now, and that is being in the number 1 spot for the main title of a show, of a promotion. Tessa fucking Blanchard.
That's why you laughed.
Number 2 for me. That's not why I laughed. I'll tell you why I laughed in a minute. With my number 1. Number 2 for me because, again, what she's about to... The reason she's number 2 and not number 1 is because if she does win this at Hard to Kill this coming Saturday, if I'm not mistaken, in Impact, if she becomes that first woman to win Impact's top belt, that transcends the business. That is something that nobody's doing. Not a single person is doing. However, she hasn't done it yet. That being said, the talk of it is starting to start rumblings. When it happens, it'll totally change things. But right now, Tessa Blanchard, 1, work rate's spectacular. You watch any fucking match Tessa Blanchard has, and you can go, man, that's a really fucking good match.
Tessa Gail Kim at Rebellion.
Look, all I'm saying is you need to fucking pay attention to Tessa Blanchard. If there's any reason to start watching Impact Wrestling right fucking now, it's Tessa Blanchard. There's a bunch of other things going on. Rich Swann is having an amazing career in Impact Wrestling right now. Sami Callihan is running shit as the Impact World Champion right now.
And one of the best heels in the business.
Look, there's so many other reasons that will keep you hooked.
Why am I not watching?
But if there's anything that you need to pay attention to Impact Wrestling for, it's definitely Tessa Blanchard. Watch what she does at Hard to Kill this Saturday. Even if she loses, it's a fucking feat that nobody is doing. There's no woman in any promotion anywhere fighting for the number 1 belt.
This will also be the second time that her and Sami Callihan have main event in a pay-per-view together.
Biggity bam, baby. Tessa Blanchard, my number 2 female wrestler of 2019. Smitty, who's your number 1 female wrestler of 2019?
Tessa. Tessa's, she's out here breaking those glass. She's shattering those proverbial glass ceilings. And if she wins on Saturday, it like you just said, it's the best way to say it, it's a game changer for the business in general. She wouldn't be the first woman to vie for a top championship because Sexy Star did it. Lucha Underground actually won, but Lucha Underground was we found out was just a shit show and a half afterwards.
Right.
But but this is also Impact's been around for a while, and this is something that's never been done in a promotion, a long running promotion.
Nick, your number 1 female wrestler.
Well, not as exciting as Tessa Blanchard, only because, and I probably would have given her an honorable mention only because I'm not as familiar with her as you guys. But based on everything you hear, which is factual evidence that she should definitely be on many people's lists, number 1. However, I'm going to go with, I'm sorry, just from what I'm familiar with, I got to go with Becky Lynch.
Okay.
What she's helped do for that women's division over the last year in WWE specifically, as I guess at this point you could call her a female version of Stone Cold, not to his level, but just as a character that she doesn't take any shit from anybody, whether you're a face or a heel. She has improved her mic skills tremendously for me. I'm not saying she's a heel, but just her whole attitude and demeanor, the way it changed over the last year or so, has helped improve those mic skills. She's good in the ring. I don't think she's great, but again, it's a whole total package for me. So I had to go with Becky Lynch, number one.
And I'm in the same exact place as you are. Number one, Becky Lynch, the man. The reason, again, just like you said, she's transcending the business right now. One of the first 3 women to ever main event WrestleMania. The woman who won, the man who won WrestleMania's main event for the first time.
No matter how she did it, she did it.
She won. You don't have to talk about the ending, but that match itself was good. It was a really good match, but it was also history making. Something that did transcend the business.
There's that word
business.
again.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what it is. Jericho did that with AEW, for AEW. Becky Lynch is doing that again with WWE. There's a reason Becky Lynch is all fucking over the place, right? She is
The first female face of the company.
She is deservedly where she is because of her mic skills, because of how she talks, because of the match quality. Is she better than Tessa Blanchard in the match quality? Nope, not to me. I'm sorry, she's not. But Jericho isn't better than Will Ospreay in the match quality, in my opinion, either. The bottom line is, though, Becky Lynch is doing stuff that no one else is doing, and that is getting people talking. You can shit talk all you want about some of WWE stuff. Becky Lynch, I believe, is still the only title holder from WrestleMania to still have their belt.
I don't.
One of them.
Who's the other?
I said they have one of them. She was Becky.
Doesn't matter. She won a belt
It
at
was a
WrestleMania
joke.
and still has. She may have lost the SmackDown Women's Championship, but that Raw Championship she took at WrestleMania and still has it. Becky Lynch is just really good, and really well-rounded, and making everybody talk. Problem is, there's Becky Glitch. She's the face of WWE 2K 2020. Right?
Becky Glitch.
So there's also that. You got your negatives, but it's all stupid stuff outside of it. Think about it. Every time that we've watched a pay-per-view, right? That tag match was bad, but I don't think that's on her. I really don't. We all talked about it. That TLC match. It seemed like it went forever because it seemed like there was a lot of things that had to be put in on the fly when Kairi Sane kind of died, right? So it's not all her fault. I don't think it's any of those 4 women's fault. It's something happened, threw it all off, and they're like, "Shit, damn it!" It's a very put together match. So Lynch herself has been in any match that you've watched her on pay-per-view. There are matches you want her to lose. When she took on Sasha Banks a couple times, you're like, "Oh, I want Sasha to win," but you're not pissed that she's still the champion. A lot of times you're like, "God damn it!" Just because when you watch faces you're not supposed to be mad at are the champion still. You might want them to lose sometimes because you're getting kind of sour on them. But Becky Lynch, you're like, "Oh," but then you're all right with it. And this leading up feud with Asuka at Royal Rumble, are you kidding me? Becky Lynch versus Asuka?
Yeah.
You mean to tell me that's what 2019 brought me into 2020? Thank you.
Right.
God damn, I can't wait for the Royal Rumble because of that. January 26th, we see it at B-Dubs with us at our big party. Pow. Pow. So, again, 3, 2, and 1, Smitty, for you for the female wrestler.
Did I already give you that?
No, yeah, I just want you to recite it. So your number 3 is?
Rhea,
Number 2?
Charlotte, Tessa.
Nick.
Rhea, Shayna B, and Becky Glitch.
And Shayna Baszler's my number 3, Tessa Blanchard number 2, and Becky Lynch is number 1. The reason I was laughing, Smitty, is because you don't have Becky on this list, and I don't understand why.
She is, but obviously, I'm just, when it comes to me and female wrestling, I feel like the women are pigeonholed by just still being looked at as women. They're not looked at in the same light as some of the men are.
I gotta say you're wrong there, man, because of what Becky's doing outside of it. Like you just said it. She's the first female face of the company. You're right there. You're no longer pigeonholed into under the men because you're above every man in that fucking company. So I feel like you're fighting your own argument.
I watched stuff like the stuff in Mexico, and I watched Impact where they have women actually out there fighting on par with the guys.
Okay.
And I think that's what I mean by I said they're pigeonholed.
Because she's not fighting men?
But if you want to put these women on the same level as the men, have them in there with the men.
I don't always want to see women fight men, dude. I'm sorry.
I'm not saying you don't always have to.
Right. So while it's doing great in Impact, I think it would be shit in WWE.
Yeah.
I think the best you get is your mixed match challenge. WWE is a land of fucking huge dudes, man. You start getting a woman in like Sami Callihan's 5'8", dude. 5'8". He's a beefcake, but he's 5'8". You tell me you want to see Becky Lynch fight Brock Lesnar? You want to see Becky Lynch fight Braun Strowman? Roman Reigns? Like, she gonna die.
Kyrie Sane and Baron
now,
Corbin.
granted, you put Ronda Rousey there, maybe with
Yeah.
Roman, maybe. I'm not even Brock or Braun. Sorry, Ronda Rousey will definitely take on more of the dudes than any other woman in WWE. Period. But your top dudes, your big dudes, I can see Becky versus Bray. Becky versus Bray, I'd like to watch, right? But any other match, man, with those top guys, she's gonna die.
Yeah, there's a
like-
couple. There's a couple female wrestlers that could go
Right.
toe to toe. But yeah, with some of these bigger dudes like that,
I think Impact's a great promotion for the intergender because again, there's some people that don't want to see intergender at all. They hate it. They think it makes everything look fake. And I'm just like, the minute I think a woman can't beat my ass in the MMAs, sorry, the minute a regular, I think Serena Williams could kick my ass. Right?
I just
She's
wanna
not a
tap that
fighter.
ass.
She's a tennis player. She's a fucking tennis player. And I'm like, Serena Williams kicked my ass. I know that as a man. So I know that women can beat men. Impact is a great promotion for it. I even think NWA is a good promotion for it. Some of the guys they have in there, I'm not saying Nick Aldis, because I think Nick Aldis is kind of a bigger beefcake, you know, but I wouldn't mind seeing Allison Kay take on fucking Aaron Stevens. I wouldn't mind seeing Allison Kay, you know, take on a couple of the other people in NWA.
Or Thunder Rosa versus someone like Ricky Starks.
Right. She's an MMA fighter as well. You know, there's certain women that can do it, and I honestly feel that Impact is a great thing for intergender. I think WWE is horrible for intergender, at least if on the top level. And so that's why I think that your argument kind of holds no water. And that's fine. I understand your opinion. I'm not even saying you're wrong here, Smitty. Normally I just say you're wrong. I understand your opinion. I just don't think it holds water because of the difference in companies and what they have built as big guys, top stars, top people.
Honestly, I would like to see Jordan Grace versus Brian Cage.
Dude, I think Jordan Grace is an amazing wrestler. I think she's amazing on Impact, and I agree. I would love to see her take on a couple of the dudes. All right, let's move on to the best match of 2019. 3 matches. Number 3, Smitty, give it to me, baby.
Actually had Jay White versus Kota Ibushi in a G1 Climax final.
Who?
Jay White versus
Jay White.
Kota Ibushi in a G1 Climax final.
Okay, why do you feel this is your number 3?
Because just the match quality in general, and just Kota Ibushi usually is really flashy, and he just had a straight wrestling match with Jay White. And Jay White I think is one of the most underrated heels in professional wrestling right now.
Okay.
And then Jay White's a phenomenal in-ring hand.
I thought you were done talking.
And those two guys.
Didn't sound like he was done.
And I feel like it was a match that was worthy of the G1 final.
Okay. Nick.
Kofi and Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
So good.
Yeah. Great storyline, great build. I'm not going to lie, I knew that they wouldn't take it away from him, but there was a second that WWE had me sitting on the edge of my seat thinking that it was possible that they could take that match away from Kofi leading up. Daniel Bryan is great in the ring. Kofi's great in the ring. It just was a great story and a great moment for WWE and a great moment for that community. You know what I mean?
Right.
You see
that
the
community.
I'm just saying, like WWE has been one to not give, the Black Stars that chance for me.
Okay.
From time to time, and to put him on that stage, that was a great moment.
Okay.
And when you see the look on Xavier Woods' face, I mean, he was crying when they were. That was
Motherfucker, I cried.
that's a really great moment. It was hard to even put that at 3, but
I agree. I'll be very honest. I don't think that we're gonna have a single wrong answer for the best match, because the best match is something that's 100% pure opinion based. You can't say that this matters more than this match or this match is better than that, because there's a lot of emotion involved in these matches, right? I'll be very honest. I don't think it is, but I would not look at Smitty and go, "You're an idiot," if he put that match at his number 1. right? Because I also agree that is way different for us as cracker-ass crackers versus the African-American community,
Sure.
right?
You saw that. There was a
Right.
group of us crying
Yes,
when
there
Kofi
was, we
won.
were there
Yeah.
at WrestleMania party at the beat-ups. Like, it was that even us, man, like, we had to take a second and regroup ourselves just to get back to what we were supposed to be
When
doing.
it grabs you like that,
Right.
that's what it's supposed to do.
Yeah. Sometimes wrestling will have amazing stories, amazing finishes, and I agree. That match was a really good one. I will say, though, it's not even in my top 3.
Wasn't in mine either, but they had a
So-
spot somewhere.
But I will say that the emotion of this match is the reason why it was number 3 for me. And at Double or Nothing, Cody and Dustin, that match, watching it live, I was there live, rewatching it again on pay-per-view, the emotion of watching those two brothers who have 2014 was it? They had a match in WWE and everyone was like, ugh. Right? It was a fucking stinker. So it's not like you went into the Double or Nothing thinking, okay, Cody and Dustin are gonna be show stealer. Nope, they were, and it was one of the things that made you go, WWE needs to change some stuff, because Dustin, 50s, is he in his 50s?
50s.
Now? Yeah. Cody is his younger brother, right? Upper 30s, lower 40s. I don't know exactly. how
Lower,
old Cody
I think
is.
it's like mid 30s.
So these are two guys that should not have a match show stealing match, right? But they did, because there were things in this match that were amazing. A Canadian Destroyer, you know, the blood,
And
all this
Dusty's,
stuff.
Dusty's still busting that one out.
Right.
Still today.
It's
Yeah.
the bottom line is that one guy. Let's be not two guys, because I would never in my life think Cody Rhodes is going to have a show stealing match. I will think that Cody Rhodes is going to have a good match. I will think it's going to be damn near blemish free. But I have never once in my life, even watching his stuff post WWE, where he did have more freedom, have gone, God damn, Cody Rhodes, match of the fucking best male wrestler of the year, right? No, I haven't, me personally. Smitty has him on his list of top 3 male wrestlers in 2019 because of the things he's done outside of the ring, you know? So, but this match, watching it, everybody who watched it, you sit there and especially at the end, you know, that promo at the end. So that's why it's my number 3 match. Cody and Dustin, Double or Nothing. Smitty, you're number 2.
Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, 2 out of 3 falls. NXT TakeOver New York.
Why?
It's like what you just said with Cody. Like, it was one of those pretty much almost blemish-free matches, and it went over an hour. And it was one of those matches that emotionally invested you.
All right. Nick.
My number 2 was Cody and Dustin. I didn't see that match in 2014 that you had mentioned.
Not many people did. I think it was a SummerSlam match.
It was a SummerSlam like pre-show or right at the beginning.
Yeah, it was
at the
not.
beginning.
It wasn't good.
And to be honest, I wasn't really all that overly excited to see it at Double or Nothing. I just like, okay, cool.
Are you
That's a good
saying
match.
you were
And
more all out than all in?
you could say that. Yeah. See what you did there.
Stupid.
But by the time the match started, and by the time we were halfway through, and by the end of the match with that promo, I mean, everything just blew me away. And that right there was one of the moments that I was like, okay, if this is the type of shit that we can expect to see from AEW, then this is going to be big. So at that time, yeah, definitely that was the match of the night. That's one of the matches of the year.
My number 2 is exactly what Smitty has as number 2. Cole versus Gargano. 2 out of 3 falls. TakeOver New York. Same thing Smitty said. I really can't go into any further of it other than just it was a classic finish to a great feud, and definitely deserving of the ending, and what has transpired since was a great call by Triple H in NXT for NXT. So I won't even go any further into that because I think Smitty encapsulated that perfectly. Number 1, best match of 2019, Smitty.
what you guys had at 3-2. I was just that emotionally invested, and the match was great as well.
What?
The Rhodes brothers versus each other.
Double or nothing?
Yep, double or nothing. When you suggested this, like I was like trying my best to think of something that was the first thing that came to my head when it came to 2019, the best match, and I kept roaming through. I went through websites and I'll start looking up matches like, oh, I remember that was good, but nothing's captured me as much as this match did, especially the end promo and the finish and like the build of it. Like Dustin's like, this is my last ride, this is my last, the story. It was just almost perfect.
Yeah,
and like Nick said, if it kind of made you think this is what AEW is going to be.
Yeah.
Even I kind of agree that isn't like AEW is coming up. Like I think Double or Nothing set the bar too high for AEW at times.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. All right, Nick, your number one match of 2019.
My number one match is what you guys had at number 2, Cole Gargano. For me, this one, for some people, especially me, I wanted to see Cole with that title. And had Ciampa not gotten injured, I don't think we would have obviously seen it as soon as we did. But the match quality, both dudes worked tremendously in the ring. There were so many close falls in that match that really brought you off of your seat in a way that you really get when you watch, sports. That I just was completely invested in one of the matches of the year that had me more excited than any other. I mean, it was great. Fantastic. Can't really say too much more because you both hit the nail on the head.
Nice. My number one match is a match that also has my number 2 male wrestler of the year in it, and that is Kazuchika Okada versus Will Ospreay at the G1 Climax. This is a match that you could watch not knowing any storyline for New Japan, and you will sit there and see how it starts off technically strong with counter, with wrestling moves into high spots that work with the match, that have focus, a storyline in them, to spots that I don't think I personally have ever seen. So if you don't know anything about New Japan, Okada's finisher is the Rainmaker clothesline. He gets behind you, he wraps his left arm to get your
like
right arm, and opens you up and brings you in for a clothesline with his right arm. And that's his finisher. Yeah, ripcord clothesline finisher. So that sets up one of the best counters I've ever seen to that. And it's because it's Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay turned that into a standing Spanish fly. He literally just flipped over and connected a Spanish fly on the fucking mat. He didn't jump from a rope, nothing. And I'm just like, holy shit, that may be one of the best counters I have ever seen in my life. Randy Orton countering the fucking curb stomp into an RKO at WrestleMania 31. If I'm not mistaken.
What was it? When he launched Seth off his back.
Yeah, because Seth cashed in at the end of that one. Yeah, because that was the opening match for the main card of WrestleMania 31. I believe it was 31. If not, but it's a WrestleMania moment. One of the best counters I had ever seen. Everyone at the time, you're looking at it like, holy shit, it's the best RKO, right? Because Randy is known for the out of nowhere RKOs because they're mostly counters. His finisher is basically a counter. Will Ospreay does that RKO. It's a cutter, but he jumps off the middle rope.
Middle rope goes the ass cutter.
Yeah, and then hits the fucking cutter. And he hit one. He jumped off the barricade and hit one, right in this match. It was the end of this match was one of the best finishes to a match I have seen, let alone the entirety of this match. Everybody needs to go fucking watch this match, right? If you don't know when it happened, it was July 20th of this year, the middle of the year, in the G1 Climax. So if you have New Japan, if you don't have New Japan, find it. July 20th, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay. Watch that match, and I dare you to tell me it's not one of the best matches you've ever seen. A lot of people ranked it really high this year. I'm really mad that I agree with Dave Meltzer that it's the best match of the year. But it's just so good to watch.
But we all know Dave Meltzer has a hard-on for New Japan.
Right, but at the same time, knowing that Dave Meltzer has a hard-on for New Japan and AEW is the same reason why I hate agreeing with him sometimes. Because I don't want to feel like I'm falling into Meltzer. But I can't argue. It's just a damn good fucking match. Okada, Ospreay, G1 Climax. All right, so let's do a quick rundown again of your top 3 matches of the year. Smitty, number 3, 2, and 1.
3, Ibushi versus White G1 Climax. Number 2, 2 out of 3 falls. Gargano, Cole, NXT TakeOver, New York. Number 1, Cody Dustin, Double or Nothing.
Nick.
Hey, Kofi and Bryan at WrestleMania. Number 2 was Cody and Dustin at Double or Nothing. And number 1, Adam Cole, baby, and Johnny Gargano at NXT TakeOver, New York.
Number 3 for me, Cody and Dustin at Double or Nothing. Number 2, Cole and Gargano, 2 out of 3 falls, TakeOver New York. And number 1, Kazuchika Okada, Will Ospreay, G1 Climax. Let's go into the best pay-per-views of 2019. Number 3 for you, Smitty.
Number 3, I had Survivor Series.
Okay, Survivor Series.
It was Survivor Series. I feel like it was like a breakout for NXT coming onto like the onto network television. It was a nice breakout for them. There's a lot of people that you probably didn't know of that like got some major exposure and got over real heavy. Guys like Keith Lee, girls like Rhea Ripley. They got some like Io Shirai. Those people got some nice little shine throughout the whole weekend, especially at Survivor Series. And just Cole Dunn was fucking instant classic.
Nice. All right. Nick.
Number 3, Double or Nothing.
All right.
A lot of hype going into it, and for me, it started off a little. It was unfamiliar because I wasn't really too familiar with a lot of the faces in there, but
Makes sense why it's on.
right. But the build throughout the whole pay-per-view just kept getting better and better and better. And then all the talk about Moxley, is he or isn't he? And then there was like a time at the end of that Jericho match against Omega where I did think, okay, he's not coming, because Jericho was in the ring long enough to where it was like, okay, they're about to go off the air here. And then all of a sudden, camera pans to the crowd. That was one of the moments of the year, and it was Moxley. And I marked out. I was like, holy shit, this is happening. He's there. That all encompassed a really good pay-per-view. And my number 3 for the year.
Nice, man. My number 3 for 2019 is WrestleMania. This WrestleMania, historic, as we said it many times earlier, the triple threat women's match to main event WrestleMania. Kofi Kingston getting his win over Daniel Bryan. And I agree, one of the better matches of the year. Daniel Bryan definitely put on a clinic with Kofi Kingston in that match. Starting off with so many people wanted to see Seth Rollins beating Brock Lesnar to kick off WrestleMania. What a way to start that fucking pay-per-view. That pay-per-view was really good top to bottom. You can remember the first match, you remember stuff in the middle, and you remember the last match. And that's what any pay-per-view should be. Something that takes you on an emotional roller coaster, has its good ebb and flows, ups and downs, and the Fiend, his entrance. Mm-hmm. That's the first time we saw that. Came twice.
You came, you saw, you came again.
In 2019 was one of the best pay-per-views out there, period. Smitty, your number 2 pay-per-view of 2019.
My number 2 was WrestleMania as well. It was WrestleMania. And that was more so, like you said, the emotional investment I had, especially with Kofi winning. And that moment alone, I don't think until I went back and watched it again, I don't remember anything else that happened on that show. Until I had to go back, till I went back and watched it, and that. And when it comes to professional wrestling, if you get emotional, if you can capture me emotionally that much, out of all the wrestling I've watched over the years, and if you just gonna make a moment to capture me and keep me invest me that much into your product, that's special.
Mm-hmm. You special,
and and that's why WrestleMania, like you had the one moment, but then I go back and watch it, like, oh, that was still good, that was still good. Mm-hmm. But that one moment, that one WrestleMania moment, you have, and then even the main event, like I liked the main event, and it was good. Mm-hmm. The botch finish, we could beat that dead horse as many times as we want to, but
overall
was good.
You're number 2, Nick.
I do have to agree with both of you. WrestleMania.
Well, that was number 3 for me.
Oh, sorry. But yeah, WrestleMania for me, number 2. Like you were saying, start to finish, kicking off with a bang with Seth Rollins. Halfway through, you got Kofi winning the championship. And, it just, not only because it's WrestleMania, but it really was something that, last few WrestleManias were they fell a little short for me, just a little.
Yeah.
This one definitely was one of the better ones we've seen in a long time, so I definitely got my number 2.
All right. My number 2 is a pay-per-view that it came out of nowhere. Like, you weren't expecting anything to be this good from this company, but it has, and it's NWA's Into the Fire. I think top to bottom, what a great show that was. NWA definitely came out of nowhere this year with their YouTube. They started with Power on YouTube and late into the year. But it doesn't... The reason Rhea Ripley didn't touch my top 3 is because while she was still really good in the latter part of 2019, I think it was basically based off of the build of someone else. I think without Shayna Baszler, Rhea Ripley could not have been as good as she was. NWA had nothing. There was no build or anything from the past. Like, the only thing that they had that happened in this decade that made any sort of major significance is when Cody Rhodes had the NWA title after All In, right? Like, think what NWA made major mention again, right? Skrull, kind of, he fought, for the NWA title, but nothing at the echelon that Cody and Nick Aldis had at All In. But then NWA Power started, and it felt fresh, and it felt new, and it felt retro, but new. So it was weird. And then Into the Fire was just every storyline that Power built, Into the Fire finished perfectly. There wasn't you can't say you watched Into the Fire and go, oh, that was weird. It was great job by Corgan, Lagana, Maureen, all those people involved in NWA, including your champions, Allison Kay, Nick Aldis, Aaron Stevens. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful thing, a masterpiece of wrestling to watch, top to bottom. And again, like an RKO out of nowhere. Smitty, your number 1 pay-per-view for 2019.
Double or Nothing.
All right.
Bam. Double or Nothing hit my number 1 because we still didn't know what to expect of AEW at this point. And like I said earlier, it set the bar, I think, a little too high for AEW. Like, from start to finish, there was not one match on that card I can really say that I didn't enjoy. Like I said, like the Cody, once again we beat the dead horse of Cody versus Dustin tag match with the Lucha Brothers and the Bucks, and Omega Jericho for the title, the appearance of Moxley. There was so many great moments and so many great matches that went on throughout that whole show. So,
yeah, Nick, number 1.
I have to agree with what you had at number 2 with Into the Fire. And it wasn't at first, but then I went back and watched it again. And it was still great, don't get me wrong. But after watching it again, and yeah, when you really think about what NWA did this year in such a short amount of time, what they start like in September, early September, and the build that they had with the different matches. And like you said, they put a stamp and closed the door on those storylines in a perfect way. Everything in a grand scheme of things, like a total package again, that they're doing and put into that pay-per-view was spot on, all the way down to the price. You had a chance to get it for $20, and if you missed it, it was only $25. That's the price you paid back in the day for pay-per-views, were $25 when you had 4 of them a year. And that, to me, again, as a whole, even the ending at the end with the surprise with Skrull coming out, I mean, it was great.
I agree. Yeah, you're right. But my number 1 is actually Smitty's number 3. And that's WWE Survivor Series. Because what that, to me, signified was a true change in WWE. I understand that it may have been, hey, we got to get more eyes on NXT on Wednesday, so they beat AEW. Vince is a man that is best when his back's in the corner, right? And he can come up with some of the best stuff. You can argue that Vince is his own worst enemy, but he's also his best fucking friend. Because if he has to sit there and he goes, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to do this, I can't lose, I don't want to lose, I don't want to be the bad guy. Regardless, Vince wants to, you can say Vince loves playing, Vince is the best heel in the business ever, right? You can make one of those arguments. But at the same time, Vince wants to win. And Vince will put anything over that he knows he needs to put over for fan service. And I'm sorry. Survivor Series was WWE fan service. And well put together fan service. Like you said, Smitty, Cole Dunn, instant fucking classic, even after War Games, right? Great fucking match to watch. Rhea Ripley, Keith Lee, these are people that looked strong, but also put over by the other people. Seth Rollins is one of your top guys. Definitely your top guy on Raw. Keith Lee pinned him. Roman Reigns may have beat Keith Lee, but God, Keith Lee looked amazing against Roman Reigns.
Yeah. That fucking spirit bomb he hit Roman Reigns with was beautiful. Yeah.
It is beautiful. What Survivor Series did is it made you think WWE may be turning the corner, and then TLC happened. But still, at Survivor Series, at the end of it, you were really fucking happy. You sat in your chair and you just sat back. The reason it's number 1 for me personally is because while we have events that we do for the Big Four, we don't really get to watch much of these shows. We keep an eye on it, obviously, because we have to know and stuff. But I was excited to sit down and rewatch this. And then even rewatching it still had all of the emotion of all the things I was feeling while I was partially watching it. I haven't done that with any other pay-per-view, right, at all this year.
That's like I said for Mania.
My rewatch has never been as good as my original watch. And this one was. And I've seen Into the Fire a couple times, and it's still good, but never once encapsulated what I have felt when I first watched it. It's still up there. I'm not saying I'm not trying to say it sucked at all at any point, because I watched it. I'm like, man, it's still really good, really good. Just like you said, Nick. Same with you said, Smitty, about WrestleMania. Survivor Series for me, the second watch again, and the third watch, because I've gone back and watched it again. I've just been, man, I am so happy WWE gave us this year. Because without that, I would have a lot of doubt. I mean, if you're looking at Raw and SmackDown, you have a lot of doubt about WWE. Mm-hmm. But Survivor Series, what they do, and these big pay-per-views gives me a lot of hope for 2020 in WWE. Because I don't think any of us are going to think WWE is a top 3 in our next category. But sure as shit could be if they keep doing what they did with Survivor Series and some of Mania. There's a reason WWE is some of our top pay-per-views this year, man. It's not like they suck overall. They're really fucking good when they have to be. And I hope in 2020, Vince feels he has to be good, because we can have some of the best WWE product we have had since the Ruthless Aggression era, the Attitude era, and the golden age of WWE, whatever it was.
I almost put Bound for Glory on this list.
Smitty, run back your 3, 2, and 1 best pay-per-views of 2019.
Survivor Series, WrestleMania, Double or Nothing.
Nick.
Double or Nothing, WrestleMania, and Into the Fire.
And me, WrestleMania, Into the Fiverr. It's Into the Fiverr. It's the
Into the Fiverr?
It's the new theme song for Fiverr.com.
Into the Fire.
Into the Fiverr.
To the fiber.
Into the Fire. God damn it, I almost said it again. Number 3, WrestleMania. Number 2, Into the Fire. And number 1, Survivor Series. Best pay-per-views of 2019. Now, we go into our best brands of 2019. Number 3 for you, Smitty.
Impact Wrestling.
Okay. Why?
Look,
I'm actually really fucking surprised you put that at number 3. I was expecting 2 or 1 from you, but go ahead. Why number 3?
I got it because let's say the match quality is always on point, whether it's the weekly shows or the pay-per-views. They get consistent, new, fresh storylines. The storyline, they carry off the storylines very well. And they even have a little part of it where you have like the, as Joe would say, tickle butt type stuff, but they make it work.
Okay.
Tickle.
Also think they have one of the best.
You end so badly.
And they also have I think they have one of the best heel factions in one of the and probably the best heel in professional wrestling in Sami Callihan and OVE.
Okay.
Now I'm done.
Number 3.
AEW.
All right. Okay.
there was a lot to like we had said a couple times already. They set the bar high with Double or Nothing. There was a lot of hype going into that pay-per-view for quite some time. And there were a few low moments. We weren't really too thrilled with Fight for the Fallen or Fyter Fest. All Out was really good. And Full Gear was really good. And, some of their most of their TV spots since they started in early October were really good. So I'm hoping for more out of them. That's why I definitely can't put them as 2 or 1 because there was only a handful of great moments. But yeah, number 3 for sure.
All right.
AEW.
Number 3 for me is the same as Smitty's, Impact Wrestling. I think Impact Wrestling as an overall show is spectacular. It's something that when you pay attention to overall is you just sit back and you're enjoying it. And you can't really have many bad things to say about it. And from the stars that are getting over, from the stars that are already there, that have been over in other companies, it's a great meld of everything. So that's why it's also my number 3. Smitty, you're number 2.
NXT.
Jesus Christ, we're gonna have the same fucking list.
Probably.
Why?
You think we had the same list? NXT 2019, like I said, Survivor Series seems like the climax of a coming out party for NXT. Yeah, I read it to the gay joke there.
God damn, Smitty loves a good climax from coming out. Oh, god damn, Cracker. Woo!
I just realized I ran right into that one.
New Year, same Smith.
So we had
in the words of Mikey, you gay dog.
You gay dog. Gay. Not that there's anything wrong with it.
Was it like they had one? Once again, you have one of the best factions in professional wrestling in Undisputed Era. You got guys like you got some rising stars and guys like Keith Lee. The old Velveteen Dream's been hurt for like the second half of the year. He's still somebody you talked about throughout the year. You got another company that's finally putting over the Joshi. Like you got Io Shirai, Kairi Sane had a good run there. Shayna Baszler. It's been a really good. It's a solid brand. It's been a solid brand for a long time, and this is just the year that they finally got some real shine.
Nick, what's your number 2?
Brown. Oh,
Mine was purple. Fruity Pebbles.
I would.
I say doctor.
Ooh.
No, it's always green if you have that much fucking colored food. Sorry, African American food.
NXT is my number 2. For all the things that Smitty just said, their pay-per-views.
They're not even pay-per-views.
Well, hold on.
Sorry.
when you look at their level of their pay-per-views outshine nearly anything that's out there right now. Their weekly television product, those shows are pay-per-view worthy more often than not. The majority of their talent is just top-notch. I mean, from top to bottom, you really can't find many things that are wrong, if any, with that promotion. So,
Keep talking. I got to set up
Choking.
my mic up.
So, yeah, man, and you know, coming up to this year, I hadn't been as familiar with NXT as you guys have. This was really my breakout year coming out of the closet and climaxing with NXT. So, yeah, man, NXT. I like the way you twist that.
It's not twisted.
I like the way you twist it.
All right, so apparently you had NXT at number 2 as well, Mikey.
Yeah.
Well,
It's probably because of the same reason you guys had it. Sorry, I'm trying to fix the microphone so Z can call in because the studio Skype thing is down. So I don't know why, but I'm trying to set up so a microphone can be on next to my phone and Z can talk into it.
you know, there's another microphone right on the other side of you, right?
What?
There's another
No, he
microphone
was
on the
trying
other
to-
side of you.
Yeah, but that one's way more difficult to get to because of all the wires and shit. This one was just difficult to handle. Ew. You know what I'm saying?
Ooh.
That's what Smitty feels about all that dick he takes. All right. I'm waiting for Z to call my phone, and then hopefully this will work because it's right there. So bad. All right. Yes.
Innovative.
NXT for having one of the top matches of the year to having one of the top pay-per-views of the year, even though it wasn't in my number 3. NXT TakeOver New York was still really good, and you have to think, man. NXT used to have every pay-per-view, every takeover was better and better and better and better and better, and then TakeOver New Orleans happened, and now every takeover is how good is it compared to TakeOver New Orleans, right? NXT TakeOver New York was spectacular. It was the fucking it was.
NXT Brooklyn.
If WrestleMania didn't have all the emotion it gave you, TakeOver New York would have been the pay-per-view of that weekend, right?
So here's the thing, like when I think pay-per-views, I don't think NXT TakeOver. I think it was network special still, and that's why when you said when I read pay-per-views, I actually looked up pay-per-views.
No, man, it's big shows. Big shows. That's fine. 2019 big show.
Bam.
Yeah, so NXT is my number 2 because of those reasons. Number 1, Smitty.
New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Whew, he didn't say it. We don't have to say it.
You're gonna. I don't. I gotta go. You go with NWA probably.
Come on, keep going with yours.
Well, New Japan Pro Wrestling, because I don't know. I like those tournament types. I like the best of the tag, those tag tournaments. I like the best of the Super Juniors. The G1 Climax this year was fucking phenomenal. The best of the Super Juniors was phenomenal.
Smitty's involved in anything that climaxes.
And out of the closet.
It was like and just like they had Meltzer's hard on for New Japan. I kind of developed a little bit of it
Hard on.
this year.
Smitty loves hard-ons and climaxing. And coming out parties. I don't think you could be any gayer, dog.
There's the pitch.
That was a slow curve. That was real easy to hit. Right down Main Street.
Just the way you like it.
Gay.
Gay, dude.
It was like one of you guys you said was on your top list, like Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay was killed it in New Japan this year. Kota Ibushi, who finally made a commitment to New Japan, killed it this year.
Smitty loves when dudes make commitments.
Like Tetsuya Naito, the guys like Tetsuya Naito, Kazuka, I can't pronounce his name right now. Kazuka Okada, Jay White, like I said, is like one of the most underrated heels in professional wrestling today. Like the Tongas and the Bullet Club, the Guerrillas of Destiny, like stuff like that.
Yeah, man. All right. Are you done? Did you end that one? Sometimes we don't know when you end. Nick, number 1.
You sure you want me to do this?
I know you're going to blow my load, but go for it. Look how heavy Smitty got.
NWA.
Niggas with attitude.
You got it.
That's right. You just didn't save any of that for Z, huh? You're a dick, dude.
Snooze, you lose, bitch.
Damn, you had a whole fucking bottle at your own house, and you even saved the last of that for Z. Damn, you're a dick.
Hey, look, he chose selective racism. I supposed to be a selective dick.
You always select dick. Anyway, continue.
It's just keep on coming.
Gay. No, there's anything wrong with that. Continue. Continue, Nate.
NWA came out of fucking nowhere. They came out of that closet and they just splooged all over my fucking face.
And Smitty licked it up.
Yep.
If I gotta be gay, I'm gonna be a top. Fuck you.
I mean, you don't like cum.
I like coming. I don't like to be cummed on.
You don't like the taste, do you?
I don't know.
How do you not like the taste?
He's never tasted it. It always shoots right into the back of his throat. He's deep throating for every cum shot. Continue. Nate.
Okay.
All right, we're
NWA is my number one. They did come out of nowhere. And honestly, up until a couple days before you were like, hey man, watch NWA, I had no idea that they were going to be such a force and be something that I mean, I just was like, oh, okay, like this is just for me kind of out of nowhere. And I've been hooked ever since. Every weekly show, Into the Fire, I'm Ready for Hard Times, coming up later this month.
I said I was done, Smitty. You can't start laughing.
I didn't laugh. I'm
Yeah,
dosed.
you did. Whatever.
I mean, nearly every character on that show has me by the balls. It just, I can't really say enough about it. I'm very impressed with their champion, Nick Aldis. I wasn't too familiar with him literally at all up until 4 months ago.
Mr. Mickey James?
And what?
Yeah, that's her husband.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh shit. Okay.
Yeah. He's not really with Camille.
No. Yeah.
No, Camille's really with the guy from, what's his?
But I really like his character as a heel, but he's like a heel with a heart, you know, if there ever was one.
Adorable.
But yeah, NWA top to bottom, number one promotion. It's not a wide margin. It's not a big gap. There's not a big hole in between, you know, these two guys. I mean, between NWA and NXT. It's a narrow margin.
Nick, I agree with you 100%. It's the same reason why NWA is above NXT for me. Smitty, your points on New Japan are one of the reasons why it's my number 4 overall, because I agree. It's a great fucking promotion to watch. I don't think
Match quality alone.
I don't think but I don't think anyone would be wrong in any of our lists. You know, same as the best match of the year. Certain promotions do it for you, and NWA is the one that really did it for me, because while New Japan kept with what they did, they still didn't do more than what they did the year before. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that was a huge misstep. I don't think they truly recovered enough from the loss of Omega leaving and things like that, to where they have stepped up into the upper echelon. Same with NXT. I think NXT is still trying to get out of its own shadow. Granted, it did a lot, man. Jumping up to USA and everything network. I think it's not like they're bad. It's great fucking overall, you know? But what NWA did, like Nick said, in such a short amount of time, it's truly, I don't think it's something that could be done again. I really think it's one of those moments in history where you're like, wow, that was amazing. That is a once-in-a-lifetime thing to watch, and I'd be shocked if I watched something else. Again, NWA has been around for years, but all they've had since was were belts. Their champions fought in other promotions to defend their belts.
Championship Wrestling in Hollywood was like the last place, and then they shared the title for a minute with Ring of Honor.
So, but that being said, there was NWA titles. There was no NWA promotion. Then Power happened. And that was, it set it off. And Into the Fire was another great moment. The pay-per-view wise, they did great, man. I'm very happy that NWA is around and doing what it's doing. So that is why it's my number one promotion. Best brand of 2019. Smitty, give me a rundown again.
So I had Impact, NXT, and New Japan.
Nick.
AEW, NXT, and NWA.
All right. And me, Impact, NXT, and NWA as well. Next category. The favorite moment of 2019. All the other categories, we had top threes. This one, obviously, I highly doubt we're probably going to have the same things. Smitty, what is the best thing about wrestling to you in 2019? What is your favorite moment?
My favorite moment of 2019 is Kofi winning the WWE Championship at WrestleMania.
Okay.
Once again, I cannot reiterate how much that meant to me as African American in general. So long in this company. I mean, so long as a wrestling fan, like 30 years old, I've never seen the WWE Championship. This is a company that's been around for almost 60-something years. This is the first time they put their title onto a black man. And people want to say The Rock, but The Rock claimed Samoan before or claimed black anytime. But that's different, huh? That's a different, like, well, a full-fledged African-American. Well, when I say full-fledged, I mean that motherfucker from Ghana, so he has affiliation with Africa.
Not even American. He's African. Damn.
But it was like they put the title on a nigga like me.
He ain't from Detroit. Continue. I'm just giving you shit.
Yeah, but it just that emotion beat out the Double or Nothing and everything else that came throughout the year. The things that wrapped me into.
Sorry,
but that was the biggest one for me.
Nick, your number one moment of 2019.
Honorable mention, Jon Moxley. Not my number one moment, but that's honorable mention. I just had to
Showing
say
up at AEW?
Yeah, showing
Double
up at
Nothing?
AEW Double or Nothing. My biggest moment, and you guys will disagree, but I think Jericho winning the title at All Out was, for me, it was like, oh, thank God. Because, I know that we have ups and downs with AEW right now. They're in this learning phase with trying to establish their identity and who they really are, even though they think they're one thing, but they don't really prove that all the time. If they wanted to keep the momentum, start the momentum, whatever you want to call it, they had to put that title on Jericho at All Out, and they did. And for me, that was like that's the start of something good, even if it takes 5 years, 10 years.
Yeah, but also, I think we were there live.
And that helped. Being, me and Mikey were 3 rows away from that. That's a history-making moment.
How many times did you end up on TV?
A lot.
A lot. Yeah.
They really liked us. That belt. Shout out to Zebros. Zebros, sorry for quick sidecast. Zebros just because they've done all the Impact belts. They just repainted them all. Impact, all the belts went from blue to red now, man. And Zebros did a fucking great job.
I saw that.
Great
that
fucking job. Great job.
And that's to go with that whole Axis thing.
Yeah. All right.
That was my moment of the year. Just another one of those things that was an all-encompassing.
Being there, everything, yeah.
And it was hard. Maybe my mood might, in a week, I could feel differently about one thing over another. But to me, that's one of the things that
mood
stands
swings?
out. A little bit, yeah. Starting menopause.
Need a man pond?
Yeah. Man, not menopause.
He can only get hot flash because he's missing the tit.
Yep.
We just pissed off the LGBT community all show.
Sorry, we love y'all. Mindy loves you way more, but whatever.
Just LBs and Gs.
I hate the T's and the Q's. How dare you be questionable? Know your shit. Anyway, my favorite moment from 2019, honorable mention, is Roman hitting remission in February. I thought that was a great real life moment. Definitely was major. But my favorite moment of 2019 is what led into my favorite pay-per-view of 2019, and that was the SmackDown show right after Saudi Arabia. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Vince McMahon, when backed into the corner, is one of the best things wrestling has. Vince McMahon wrote that SmackDown show on his plane when he found out that his wrestlers weren't making it back. That SmackDown show was not supposed to play like that. And we all said it was probably the best SmackDown in the last 10 years, in the decade. And I feel
Of the year
that,
for sure.
oh, easily of the year, but definitely probably one of the last 10 years. Maybe even more. What that SmackDown did is it excited you, it ignited you, and it made you so happy to be a wrestling fan because you were watching a real invasion. Ish. Everything that you hoped that invasion of WCW would have been to WWE but the big stars were gone. They didn't want
Sting and Goldberg.
They're like, they didn't get Sting or Goldberg because Sting and Goldberg were like, I'm making money. I don't have to be there. Mm-hmm. They were getting paid anyway. Why would you want to go and put your fucking body on the line when you're going to get paid that money no matter what? You're going to fucking null and void the contract you currently have to sign one with WWE, right? Fuck that. I would have sat back too. I'm not even arguing that. All Hogan, Nash, Hall, everyone, every big name that WCW had.
What's up, bitch?
Every big name that WCW had that did not show for the invasion into WWE is what you got with that SmackDown after Saudi Arabia. Big names, Shayna Baszler, Adam Cole, your top guys are there doing it, going through it. So to me, my moment of 2019 is the SmackDown after Saudi Arabia. Z is here, ladies and gentlemen.
Give me the Hulu version of the show.
No, I'm not giving you the Hulu version. We're going to ask you your questions, and you can just give us your Hulu version of these because we're gone through every category up into the best moment of 2019. We haven't done the decade yet.
Okay.
So your top three, starting with number 3, male wrestlers of 2019. 3, 2, and 1. You didn't write anything down.
No. Adam Cole, number 3. Number 2 would be Daniel Bryan, and number 1 would be Kofi Kingston.
Okay. Number 3, 2, and 1.
Nice.
3, 2, and 1 best female wrestlers of 2019.
It would be Shayna Baszler, number 3. Rhea Ripley, number 2. And Becky Lynch, number 1.
Okay. Best match of 2019. Since you did write this one down, just give me your number 1, unless you can rattle off 3, 2, and 1.
Number 3, Walter versus Pete Dunne at TakeOver New York.
Yeah.
Number 2 would be the Extreme or the Elimination Chamber match.
Wait. TakeOver New York. You mean, are you talking about Walter versus Tyler Bate?
Walter versus Pete Dunne.
John was at New York.
Okay, all right.
TakeOver New York. And number 1 would be Kofi Kingston versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania.
Okay. Top 3 pay-per-views, 3, 2, and 1 of 2019.
Survivor Series number 1. Number 2 would be Into the Fire. And number 3 would be Double or Nothing.
Okay. And your 3, 2, and 1 best brands of 2019.
NXT number 1. Raw / SmackDown number 2.
So WWE?
Yeah, and then AEW number 3.
Okay. And your favorite moment of 2019 and why? Then you're all caught up.
Favorite moment of 2019 is when Kofi won the belt at WrestleMania.
Right.
Historical moment, great match, great build, everything. Like everything that culminated in that moment. Just,
Do you have an honorable mention for the moment?
Honorable mention for a moment would be the invasion of SmackDown.
All right, now we're getting into the worst moment of 2019, our final category for best of, worst of year. Smitty, what is the worst moment for you in 2019?
Hell in a Cell, Bray Wyatt versus Seth Rollins.
Okay. Why?
Everything. Fucking everything. My butt hurts after watching that. Just talking about this right now.
It's weird because he's a bottom. Pretends to be a top, but he's totally a bottom. Nick, worst moment of 2019?
The wedding this past week.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm still. I love.
You didn't like
that.
the lesbian angle?
I fucking loved everything about that wedding.
I felt really uncomfortable most of the time.
In fact, we've planned a lot of my wedding around that wedding.
Was it lesbians?
I just hopefully Lana makes me angry. her mic skills are getting worse.
Oh, it's not the fact that she doesn't use a Russian accent anymore?
Well, not only that, I mean,
That's always faded in and out.
All right, let him talk.
she rubbed off Lashley's black fucking makeup all over her face, and it was a real shit show. I mean, I guess you could say it was so bad it was good, but it was the low point of 2019 for me.
All right. Z, worst moment of 2019.
Not to beat a dead horse, but definitely the Hell in a Cell ending.
Okay.
The no contest in a Hell in a Cell. It just made no sense, and by far the worst thing that's happened this year.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of Lana only using a Russian accent when she says the word Rusev.
Rusev.
My worst moment of 2019 is something that has killed a promotion for me, and that's the officiating in AEW. There hasn't been a single time we have come on this air, including now, and not had something negative to say about the AEW officiating, from people staying outside of the ring too long to people being blatantly hit by outside people in front of the referee, to a referee not calling a 3 count when someone's shoulders didn't come up off of the mat. It's just so... Every time I want to love AEW, something happens with officiating so blatantly bad that makes me go, God damn it, fix this. So to me, the AEW officiating is the worst thing about 2019 because, again, it made me go from, we all said it, Double or Nothing set such a standard, such a bar, that we were even kind of like, all right, the officiating was a little off, but still, fuck yeah, let's see what they're doing. And
but that was okay for a pay-per-view.
Right.
Not an every week thing.
And it's slowly killing a fight, to the point where even Chris Jericho held a team fucking meeting, said, hey, honeymoon's over, fix this shit. It's not making sense. And it's not. Because again, with all of this officiating, the first DQ of this fucking company is going to be the biggest uproar in the fucking world.
When did he
It's going to
do
be
that?
It's going to be the biggest heel turn in AEW to that point.
Yeah.
When the ref finally calls a DQ.
Yeah.
When did he do that team meeting? I didn't.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah?
a couple
Okay.
weeks ago. So, yeah,
Back around the
Well.
beginning of December.
yeah.
Good.
But I mean, AEW is turning into Spot Fest, and that's kind of killing it for me too.
Right.
Like, it's not just the refs. There are other things with that promotion where I'm like, okay. I was excited. Kid on Christmas, like you open the box and then it ends up not being what it was supposed. It's like the off-brand of the toy you wanted.
Or it's the toy you wanted, but no one bought batteries.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, no, 100%. That's a much better.
You're like,
fucking
hell yeah, I
analogy.
got this. Anyone got any double A's?
And no stores are
Mom's
open on
like,
Christmas.
I only have D's. And you're like, of course you got D's, Mom. Dad, you suck. Because dildos. All right. Now we're going to go into the decade. Top 5 wrestlers of the decade, the top 3 matches of the decade, your favorite moments of the decade, and your worst moments of the decade. Again, if you only have one for the moments or you have honorable mentions, that's fine as well. So we're going to top off. Smitty, number 5. Who is your number 5 wrestler of the decade? 2010 to 2019.
2010 to 2019. I actually had to write this one down.
I hope so.
5 from 5 to 1.
Nope, just give me 5.
5. Let's say from 5 to 1, right?
Oh, yeah.
Number 5, Mike Elgin.
Okay, why?
Because Mike Elgin is tore it up in New Japan. He's tore it up in pro wrestling. He's still tearing it up in pro wrestling. Tearing it, like, no matter where he goes, he's a high caliber match type guy. And I can never ever complain about a Michael Elgin match. And that's longer than 10 years at this point now.
All right. Nick.
Charlotte. I'm gonna go with a woman.
Okay.
She's been the most consistently good woman on that whole entire WWE, NXT, Raw, SmackDown, whatever roster.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple title runs. She had a brief stint as a face here and there. That worked. It worked. But I would definitely say, just to throw a woman in there, I'd throw her at number 5 because she is.
So, okay, wait.
Yeah.
So, by just what your last sentence was, is she number 5 just because you wanted to throw a woman in there, or because you truly feel number 5?
No, I
overall?
truly felt that.
Okay.
But I did
All right.
want. I wanted to have a woman in there, but she, out of the 5 that I picked, she's number 5.
Okay.
Yep.
Z.
Ba, ba, da, 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 I don't even know if I'm doing it right. John Cena. John Cena, everybody.
John Cena.
9 championship reigns in the past 10 years, so he's got to be on the list somewhere, and he's definitely not number 1, so he could be like, if you're not first, you're last, so he's number 5.
For me, number 5 is Adam Cole. He was number 3 for my 2019, but Adam Cole, first ever 3-time Ring of Honor champion. He's held multiple championships in that company. Bullet Club member, high profile, NXT champion, triple threat, triple crown winner, the second one ever. The things he's doing for that company now is something that he was doing for Ring of Honor when he was in Ring of Honor, and it's just making it better. Everything that he has touched. Rookie of the Year in 2010. He's literally been wrestling this entire decade only. And he is this good in 2019, going into 2020. So number 5 for me overall because of what he has done. Adam Cole, baby. Smitty, number 4.
Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston over this decade has he's held that mid card together for the WWE he's been one of those guys that's held the mid card together for the WWE for the longest. Finally had his moment this year. It's probably one. I think according to WWE, he's probably one of the most titles over the decade. Second, him and The Miz have won some of the most titles over the decade. Mm-hmm. And like Kofi's just probably the epitome of what I would say probably the most successful black superstar, fully black superstar in WWE history at this point now.
All right. Nick.
I would have to go with John Cena at my number 4. I mean, whether you love him or hate him, I mean, he's been one of the faces of that company in some shape or form for the last 10 years. He's got tons of title reigns. He's doing a lot of really good things in the community over the last 10 years. So he's an overall encompassing superstar.
Yeah. Number 4, Z.
All right, fine, Nick. I'm going to go with Charlotte.
Swap.
Well, I mean, she hasn't been wrestling this whole decade. She made her debut in 2013, but since then, she's held the Women's Championship 10 times. She's held the NXT Championship. She held the Divas Championship at one point, and she has
Divas champion.
She has been your top superstar in the women's division, your benchmark, so to say, for the entire time she's been wrestling. So she's got to be on the list.
All right. My number 4 is the Ayatollah of rock and rolla, Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho started off this year fighting with his tag partner, Big Show, and since then has held top titles in WWE. He has held mid-card titles in WWE. He's held mid-card titles in New Japan Wrestling. He's held top titles in AEW. Chris Jericho, no matter where he goes, changes the fucking game. New Japan got some of its biggest buys and biggest attendance because Chris Jericho announced he was attending a Wrestle Kingdom a few years ago. And New Japan caught more fire. They had a kindling with Bullet Club and the Bucks and Kenny Omega and all of that. There was a smaller kindling when it was AJ Styles running the Bullet Club. But the minute Chris Jericho showed up in New Japan, a full-fledged fire burned for that company. And Chris Jericho has done that. When he said he was signing to AEW, everyone was like, I'm going to watch AEW. Chris Jericho got that title. You said it yourself, Nick. Your top moment of the year. Look how sad Z is because he's got none of the bubbly. Didn't even have a bit of the bubbly.
Was it even good?
Yeah,
it was.
Champagne. Here, you can. He didn't drink it.
Oh, thanks, Smitty.
He licked out of it though. I'm just kidding.
Like a cat.
But yes,
I haven't been drugged this year yet, so 4 days.
Allegedly. So yes, Chris Jericho is my number 4 overall wrestler of the decade. Smitty, give me your number 3.
My number 3, it was your number 5. It was Adam Cole.
Okay, why?
Like you just pretty much brought it up. Like you brought up because like he's only been in the game for 10 years and he's accomplished so much. He's like the first 3-time Ring of Honor champion, was a part of the Bullet Club in its peak. Because in the peak, that's when Omega, you had Omega, Cody, and all those guys with the Bullet Club, and he's always been a great hand for the Panama City Playboy, and he's always got whatever gimmick. Like there's not too many people that get your own fucking name over.
Yeah, baby. Yeah. All right, Nick, you're number 3.
My number 3 is your number 5 as well, Adam Cole. I've only been familiar with him for a short time, but I've done some research, and like you guys were saying, he's been around the block, and everything this dude touches turns to gold. And he's, in that short amount of time, to be skyrocketed to the top of all these different promotions he's been in and be such a prominent character, you cannot put him in your top 5.
It's just so weird that the son of Michael Cole has done so much despite who his dad
God,
is.
you just buried what I was gonna fucking say when you came to me.
Z, who's your number 3?
Michael Cole's son, Adam Cole, for all the same reasons they just said. I mean, I'm, again, not going to beat a dead horse. They've covered it. Adam Cole's number 3.
My number 3 is a hot fucking take, and it's going to piss some people off, and I don't give a flying fucking shit.
Hornswoggle?
Brock Lesnar is my number 3. Sure, he has not wrestled this whole decade. Sure, he barely wrestled this whole decade. But for the most part, a strong majority, Brock Lesnar has had a match of the night card moment in Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, John Cena. Things he has done throughout this
Undertaker.
year. The Undertaker.
Beating
fucking
the streak alone puts you on the list.
Yep.
Brock Lesnar has it changed a lot of structures. Brock Lesnar's contract made a lot of people go, I can work less and get paid. And yes, it happened.
Get paid way more.
There are people that are working less now in WWE and are getting paid the same.
Randy.
You know, yes, and it changed it. When you had a star like Brock Lesnar come in and do that, other people's like, well, I do this much for the company. I should also not have to bust my ass as much. And yes, you said it. Randy Orton, when he wrestles, he's great. He's not wrestling as much anymore, but still really good. So Brock Lesnar, to me...
But Randy's one of those people that have done so much that... I mean, not saying that Brock hasn't,
Right.
but Brock's just a different kind of draw in itself. But with guys like Randy, Randy's done everything there is to do, so Randy kind of gets to pick and choose what he does now.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
And he can because, and again,
Yeah,
still with
dues
the
paid.
money because of the money that Lesnar pulled in. Number 2 for you, Smitty. Best wrestler of the decade.
Chris Jericho.
All right.
Like Chris Jericho, just the fact that he's reinvented himself, what, not 3-4 times over just over the last 4 or 5 years now.
Mm-hmm.
You said it. I think you put the other on the head. Like no matter where he goes, he elevates whatever companies he's in, and
Yeah.
that's about it.
All right, Nick, you're number 2 wrestler of the decade.
My number 2 is Brock. For everything you said, I mean, he's a huge draw still to this day. You know, the fact that he ended the Undertaker streak, whether you like it or not, I totally agree with what Z said. That right there puts you on this list. His title reigns, his just overall presence when he's there is big. Because it's not like, okay, well, Brock's been gone for a couple weeks. Oh, he's there? All right, cool. No, when he's there, he's like, okay, Brock's here. Let's fucking do this. What's going to happen? You know, with Paul Heyman at the helm, yeah, he's up there.
All right.
Yeah, and the only reason he's number 2 is because of his lack of mid-card titles.
Is he your number 2 as well, Z?
No, my number 2 also elevates every company he's ever been in, and that's AJ Styles.
Nice.
That's good.
He deserves. I mean, no matter where he goes, he is one of, if not the top guy, and it's been that way for as long as he's been wrestling almost. So he definitely gets the nod at number 2.
My number 2 is a guy that has been running New Japan for a very long time, and that's Kazuchika Okada, the guy whose name Smitty can't even say.
Can't say Kakuchika Okada.
Neither can you.
Kukuchka.
Okada himself has
sounds
been a
Polish.
part of many best matches of the year, involving with Kenny Omega this year with Will Ospreay. You can't deny the amount of titles that he's held, the length that he has had them as well. He is the John Cena of New Japan. He is their face. He is unbeatable. He's unbreakable. He's untouchable.
And they still
and
like
when
him.
someone does it, it makes it even that much more special. Smitty and I were talking the other day at work about how this match coming up at the second night of Wrestle Kingdom, Naito has never had the big belt. And just like
this
Okada,
is the second reign.
No, he's never won IWGP.
Literally, then Google it because it says it's his second reign with the title.
No, it's his second run with the Intercontinental.
No. When I looked it up yesterday, it said it was his second reign. It's like his fifth reign is Intercontinental title, but it's his second reign as I looked up New Japan champions, and under the list it'll tell you.
Naito championships. Yeah, I did 2 times.
Yes, see, I was gonna say I just looked up this stat the other day. It says I don't know when his first reign was, but it's saying it was the second reign as the big champion.
So, okay, but even then, I swear to God, I did not know that he held it. I always thought it was something that just missed him. He held it for his first time for 70 days. In Jesus Christ, where did it go? In 2016, April 10th. So he lost it 2 months later. But again,
well, maybe that's why nobody knows because the IWGP.
So anyway, Smitty and I were talking about it, and barring it aside, him winning at Wrestle Kingdom to hold the Intercontinental and the IWGP Heavyweight Championship over Okada is.
So does that make Naito like the equivalent of Ultimate Warrior now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or Seth Rollins.
It made it such a it was a handover like Warrior from Hogan. Yeah. That's what he's talking about. It put Naito over more because it was Okada that he beat. Kazuchika Okada has just run the fucking gauntlet in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He has just been their guy, and he has been putting on match after match of the year quality candidates consistently, no matter who his opponent is. So you constantly have to say that Okada should be in your top 5, to me. Smitty, your number 1 wrestler of the decade.
I went with the phenomenal AJ Styles.
All right. Why?
Why
was he your number 1 and not number 2 like Aziz's list?
He was my number 1 because no matter where he goes, he becomes a top tier star. Mm-hmm. And he's a draw. He's just about as big of a draw as Okada. His match for the IC title with Nakamura at Wrestle Kingdom 9. His matches in WWE. Even on the mid card, he's a great mid card champion, great top guy. He's got some of the great accolades like Jericho. He's
just a good brother.
So it's pretty much he's like probably almost equivalent of Jericho on where he goes places.
All right. Nick, your number 1 wrestler of the decade.
I actually had Jericho. It was my number 1. He ended the decade on top. Everywhere he goes, he's very well recognized. And to take a company like AEW, I don't think they would be anywhere near where they're at now without that dude at the helm. Things he did in WWE, he reinvents himself constantly, and it goes over really well. It works. Yeah, 100% Jericho.
All right. Z, who is your number 1 wrestler of the decade?
Number 1 wrestler. It's been around a while. He's been out, does this thing, elevates companies.
Dana Brooke.
CM Chris Jericho. The guy's an amazing talent. He's gotten a clipboard over. He's gotten the word "it" over. Scarves, jackets, light brights. Doesn't fucking matter. He does it, and he does it at the top of his game. No matter if it's 2010
fucking champagne
or 2019. Yeah, it just the catchphrases that he comes up with and gets over, and the people he gets over. It just his matches clearly, I mean, as he's gotten older, have fallen off a little bit, but the psychology this guy has, the knowledge, and that's physical. That's going to happen regardless. But his mind, his creative mind for this business is just.
He did a fucking frog splash last night, ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. Chris Jericho did a fucking frog splash. Okay, guy. You're old. Why are you doing this? You don't have to, but he does. I agree with you, Z. So,
we just talked about how Dustin Rhodes bust out Canadian Destroyers at 50.
Right.
Yeah, so does Ricky Morton, so.
He's damn near 70.
All that means to me is that anyone in this room could do a Canadian Destroyer.
As long as the other person knows how to flip backwards.
Yep. Start with Smitty.
All right. My
You
number
jump in
one
my
wrestler,
hair, nigga.
my number one wrestler of the decade is right in line with Smitty's AJ Styles for the exact same reasons that everyone has said AJ Styles is on their top 5 list. It's why AJ Styles is number 1 to me, because I don't think anybody could have done what he's done and still give the match quality over everything. Because while Okada's doing great at number 2 with his match of the year contenders every year, he's doing it in one company. AJ Styles over this decade has done it in TNA, New Japan,
ROH,
WWE.
yeah.
Everywhere he has gone, he has had match of the year quality contenders and held top titles in these things. I can't argue it at all. No matter where you put, if AJ Styles isn't in your top 5 wrestlers of the decade, then you need to stop watching fucking whatever the hell you're watching.
And watch AJ Styles.
And
All right,
pay
I'll pull
attention.
Charlotte out and put him there then.
Nerd.
You know, AJ Styles had a match of the year contender with Sting starting out in 2009.
Yeah. And then in 17, he was in the Royal Rumble and got robbed of match of the year with John Cena. You know, again, just great stuff. Now, we're going to go into our top 3 matches of the decade. Number 3, Smitty, what you got?
Yes, unpopular opinions on these ones.
That's fine. All
Number
good.
3 was a tie of Taker's Michaels at WrestleMania's 25 and 26.
25 doesn't count. 25 is 2009. We're starting 2010. So the Taker versus Michaels, 2010.
The retirement match.
He had a retirement match. Once again, Shawn Michaels is my favorite wrestler. One of my probably my favorite wrestler of all time. And just his last hurrah, have an excellent match with Taker for the second year straight. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I think it was the best way to say about him in the ring, which is not, thanks to the fucking Saudi money, it wasn't his last match.
Hey, Saudi money pays bills. All right. Nick, number 3.
Another unpopular opinion, Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens from 2016 Battleground.
Oh, wow.
Dude, that was at a time when that's right when I started to get back into wrestling. I was only watching the pay-per-views at that time, a few pay-per-views before that, somewhere in 2015. But that match, it blew my mind the way that these two worked so well together. There was such good chemistry. They beat the fucking snot out of each other. The match went I want to say it was a little over 20 minutes. Great fucking match.
And here's a little suggestion, like if you actually like those guys' chemistry, look them up in the Ring of Honor Ladder Wars. Okay. Kevin Steen versus El Generico.
Okay.
Z, number 3 match of the day.
My number 3 match also includes Sami Zayn, but it would be Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke in Shinsuke's NXT debut.
Nice.
Partly because up until that match, it was a long time had passed that I've seen a match that complete. And it made Nakamura look like a star, not like he does now on the main roster, but that match was just awesome.
Yeah, Nakamura, I agree with that. Him coming over from New Japan, and one of his last matches was with Naito, and it was for the IC belt, and that was a classic. And then him coming into NXT, great fucking call, Z. All of them were great calls, because I agree. Nick, Battleground, forgot about it. And you can't argue Michaels versus Taker in any top match. But my number 3 is something from New Japan, and it is the 4th match in the Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega series, and it's the one at Dominion in 2018 where Kenny Omega finally beat Okada for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship in a 2 out of 3 falls match. They went into this match 1-1-1, and it was a fucking wrestling classic. I could not, when rewatching it, you know, we talked about it back in the day. It was like Meltzer just fucking blew his load on stars for this match, right? It was just like, I'm going to give you all of these stars. I think it was like 7-star, 8-star, whatever the fuck it was. And we were like, man, you're an idiot for saying it's that much. But at the same time, I also would have understood the 5-star, because to me, that I think it was obviously, it's one of the best matches of the decade. One of the best matches of all time, in my opinion. It deserves to be up there. And Omega finally getting that title that he was so eluded him for so many years was a great finish, especially to see Kota Ibushi, who he came into the business with, and the Young Bucks, who part of the elite that he's in the business with, and getting him even more over, holding him up, was a great finish and moment to that match. Smitty, number 2 match of the decade.
Yeah, my number. Your number 3 was my number 2.
Okay.
And the best way you better like Kenny Omega chased that title for damn near a year and a half, 2 years, and he got it. Even though he was supposed to come in as a heel in that match, Kenny was so over that there was no heel in that match.
Yeah.
It was pretty much a face-on-face match at that point. And it was, I wouldn't say flawless. There's nothing that's flawless in this world.
Yeah.
The storytelling in the match of like Kenny was like, all he needed to do was hit that one-winged angel, and he couldn't get he just couldn't get it for some reason.
Yeah.
The storytelling of the match, like he won with that one fall. He had the most devastating move, according to Simon Miller, the surprise roll up.
Yeah.
So it was just a really, it's one of those matches that stands out throughout the decade.
All right. Nick, number 2 match of the decade.
AJ and Demon Finn at TLC a couple years ago. The match was kind of thrown together last minute.
Definitely.
And they fucking put on a show. And I was excited for that match. It was one of the ones I was looking forward to seeing the most when it finally got announced. And it exceeded expectations. And I went back and I watched some of the matches that they had over in New Japan. And
Fergal Devitt got kicked out the Bullet Club.
yeah, and it's I was really glad that WWE put that together the way they did, and it came through.
All right. Z, number 2 match of the decade.
John Cena versus Daniel Bryan, SummerSlam 2013, the
Okay.
official birth of the S movement. Daniel goes over clean and then gets robbed by Randy Orton afterwards, but like the emotion invested in that match, and you could just feel it in. I mean, I wasn't there, but like watching it, you could just like feel the emotion in the crowd and everything. So, plus it was a really good wrestling match.
2013.
Yep.
For me, the number 2 match of the decade is Sasha Banks versus Bayley.
Fuck you!
At Takeover Brooklyn 2015.
The Iron Woman match.
The
No,
one where Bayley finally took the belt. Again, another match that culminated in a story that had been built for so long. Sasha already being part of the main roster and going back to that. It was just a match that fucking, they on TV, WWE television, they're talking about the women's evolution and things like that. But in NXT, those girls did it already.
That started with
Charlotte
Paige and
Flair
Emma.
versus Natalya. The 4 horsewomen of NXT were rocking the fuck out against each other, with each other, no matter what. And I feel that this match did so much for wrestling, for women's wrestling, for everything, on a mainstream scale. Because you can't deny it. WWE did not start the women's evolution in wrestling. I truly believe that's a TNA thing with Gail Kim and all them girls over there.
Mickey James, Awesome Kong.
But WWE did it on a much grander scale, and it's been a theme of the day. It's as if it transcends one company into mainstream. This did it, and it's from NXT that transcended. So I had to give that at number 2. Smitty, what's your number 1?
Fuck you. It was the same one. Like the story, like 8th story. Love Bayley to death. I think Bayley's one of the most, even stat wise, she's held that SmackDown Women's title most of the year. But this is what, like, honestly, this was Bayley's coming out. Like, Bayley's a real force to be looked at inside this company in general, not just NXT. Like, in the future, she's
more than just her butt.
Stop. I love that ass.
A little bit of the bubbly. Nick, what's your number 1 wrestling match of the decade?
Kofi and Daniel Bryan WrestleMania this year.
Yeah.
I think the story leading up to it, the way they inserted Kofi into it, it all worked flawlessly. The way it, like I mentioned earlier, when we had that SmackDown before
Happy
Mania,
little accident.
and I really did feel at some point, man, maybe they will take that chance away from them, and they didn't. And the emotion that was in that match was great, fantastic.
Z, number 1 match of the decade. I bet it's mine.
Shawn and Taker.
Oh, it's not. Damn.
No, yep, Shawn and Taker. I mean, just bias. Last time I got to see Shawn wrestle in a high-profile match and left it all on the table. So
It's a great match.
I mean, of the series of especially like in this decade of Taker's WrestleMania matches, still to this day the best match.
Oh yeah, easily.
Right.
Agreed. And he had great bouts with Triple H to follow the 2 years. that
Right,
followed.
but,
yeah,
no,
but that
but
was, but
the
yes.
emotion,
Yep.
everything, like just when you add up everything, like the in-ring work, the storytelling, the emotion, the moment, like it was all just there.
Yeah, and I was just furthering your point with it's not like because you can think of Taker's current run of matches where there was hip problems, lackluster, but he did have really good matches after this one. It's not like he just had injury old guy moment matches to where there's nothing to compare it to in good wise. That match was really good, and I fully agree. Of the decade, Taker's best Mania match. Yes. My number one match is something that caught everyone out of the blue. While he was not in my top 5 wrestlers, and he was mentioned by you guys, Mr. John Cena did put on a match with a guy in Money in the Bank 2011.
That's my honorable mention for number
Blew the
one.
fuck off the roof. CM Punk winning the WWE Championship when storyline-wise had not signed a new contract, even though he signed it
The day of.
shoot-wise day of. So that story never was wrong.
Didn't he sign it like 12:01 the next day or
No,
whatever?
he signed it the morning of Money in the Bank.
Oh, okay.
And got that belt and put off. It was just one of the best matches. You truly didn't know. How many times in wrestling are you watching a match that's that high profile and you don't know what's going to happen? That
And then
match,
they even played off
Yeah.
after. Like,
The fucking
you didn't know
belts
until the
inside the
end of
fucking-
Raw
yeah.
the following day, and then you're like, okay.
Yep, and then
He
they had
tried
to
to
make
do
a
the
new
Montreal screw
belt, and they
job.
had the Cena. Yeah, it was great.
Oh yeah, Ray won it, and then
Yep.
Cena took it back.
Yep.
And
It was a match for the ages, and for the longest time was the last 5-star match that Meltzer gave WWE until NXT takeovers in a couple years ago.
Yep.
Right, so you're talking like a good 7-year run where not a single match in WWE had a 5-star rating.
Not even, some of them didn't even get 4.
yeah,
Right.
if we were
Yeah.
doing a top 5, that was going to be on my
Yeah.
list, and so was Taker and Brock, just for the moment.
Right.
Not
Oh, this-
that Taker and Brock was a good match.
Yeah.
But for the moment of losing the streak and all that, it would make the top.
Right,
5.
and that's why
think it's
we
a
were even
questionable
saying
decision.
earlier, man. These matches, I know, Smitty, you said there's some hot takes to them, but there's feelings and emotions in these matches that change how it's looked at. We're not talking matches a technical standpoint. We're talking the best match to us over the decade. So
Yeah, if we were doing sole technical standpoint, there would be a Tyler Bate Pete Dunne match in there somewhere.
Oh, Tyler Bate and fucking Walter was one of my honorable mentions for both this year and a decade.
all right,
Blackpool.
Smitty, give me your favorite moment of the decade in wrestling. And do you have an honorable mention before you talk about the favorite moment?
Honorable mention, CM Punk Pipe Bomb, because it put a lot of eyes back on wrestling where at a time where people were not watching.
Okay.
But I'm still going to say Kofi winning that title is still, throughout the whole decade, is my favorite moment.
Okay. Nice, man. Nick.
Well, before we started the show, I said it wasn't a match. I think for wrestling as a whole, WWE introducing the WWE Network is such a step forward, and it's kind of fallen short for me because I still think that more people could be watching. And I know it doesn't make a lot of sense, but I didn't watch wrestling for the whole decade. You know what I mean? So for me to say
Fucking
what
loser.
what was my favorite moment of the decade, giving more and more people this easier access and started a fucking trend of and all the other shit that I didn't have. I mean, that just is a huge door for a wrestling fan. And I don't think that, I mean, there's obviously wrestling moments that are better than that, of course. But when you look
For you,
at
it's the biggest thing of the decade. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fine. Z, your biggest moment of the decade.
Nick's over here taking notes of our favorite matches. Of the
I
decade.
was.
Gotta go watch
yeah.
that. Gotta
Yeah,
watch that.
I really did. Yep.
The moment of that decade, hands down, is Brock beating the streak.
Yeah.
I don't think there's been a bigger shock and awe moment of I mean, not only the decade, but I mean, up until that point, like nobody believed it. I didn't believe it. I mean, we were silent. We were sitting at B-Dubs completely silent, like, what the fuck just happened?
That's what I was.
At the will.
And that is something, like, as an adult, that doesn't happen to me in wrestling because I know more. Like, as a kid, of course, because I was naive and I, believed half of the shit on the screen. As an adult, like, I still like the story art and the creative and all that, but this was a moment that definitely caught me. And if you can catch me and make me be like, what the fuck? Like, I didn't think that was going to happen, then that's a good moment.
That's what would have been, I would have said, because I knew it happened and then went back after the fact, within the last 3 years and watched that, even though I knew it happened, and it still caught me like,
the whole arena was silent. Like,
Would that-
everyone was just caught with their mouths open.
The world stopped.
Would that
for a
have been your
second.
honorable mention then
Yeah,
as well?
100%.
See, what is your an honorable mention? There's something else that maybe...
Moment of the year would be, I mean, the next thing would be Kofi.
Okay.
I mean, as far as, like, historical value and shocking. Not that it was a shock that he won, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
It was a shock that he won.
My moment of the decade. First, I have 2 honorable mentions. Stuff that I really want to mention these because it's things that I fought. Because it's all emotional moments. Daniel Bryan returning, being able to come back after concussion problems for as long as he had them was something that when you watched it, you fucking teared up.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Mark Henry's retirement speech. In the fucking salmon jacket, where it turned out he fucking hit John, and then he hit John Cena with the fucking world's strongest slam. Oh, I think might be one of the better swerves of all time in wrestling history because there wasn't a single fucking person that saw
He
that
came
coming
out
as
with
well.
the
boots.
Yeah.
He came out with the boots.
What about Edge's retirement then?
Edge's retirement. I didn't put it when I'm thinking of moments.
That's another one. Like I
It's
cried
up there.
for.
Yeah. When I'm thinking of moments, I'm thinking of positive coming out.
Oh,
of it, right?
okay,
You know
so-
what I'm saying?
okay, yeah.
Like
That's the
yes,
case?
I agree, and that's just how.
Because
how
when
I'm
Daniel
thinking.
had to retire, I mean, I teared up.
Right,
Just like
but
I
his
did for
coming back,
Sean.
you were
Just
like, holy fucking shit.
Yeah.
But
the second honorable mention, it would be like the announcement of AEW. Because you knew that was a game changer in the industry.
But isn't it kind of early because it's already
it's-
kind of fallen off? It hasn't really changed anything other than it's changed the way people are getting paid, but it's also locking them into long contracts of sitting at home.
So my moment of the decade, though, goes to something that truly did hit every emotional chord I had, and that was Cody winning the NWA title at All In. And the fact that he was now holding a title that his father held, that another generation passed that on. It's one of those things in wrestling that, you got Charlotte is a top tier contender, but she'll never hold the world's championship like her dad. I mean, maybe WWE could come around and do that, but currently it's not a very likely possibility. Anybody's children, it's Dusty Rhodes is number 2 on that NWA title. Number 1 being Flair, right? So now again, if Charlotte comes through and runs an NWA and she holds the NWA title, boom, it's these echelon of your offspring and your kids are doing it, and I'm just like, Cody doing that hit so many emotional levels for me that it's as a father changes you. You know what I'm saying? Because you're like, man, imagine my kid doing something that everyone thought I was one of the best at fucking being.
It's like Michaela coming in here and winning the BDR belt.
Right. God damn it. Or fucking hosting this podcast. So fuck you, kid. You're better than me.
Yeah, you're right.
Way better. Cody winning that belt for this decade was just, you can argue it's recent and it holds more merit, but I just feel like that's spectacular homage to Dusty. It's
Cody's
spectacular.
emotion when he won it too was just, it was
wonderful.
real.
It was great. Okay, Smitty, give me your worst moment of the decade, because man, I can't wait to hear these.
Did I write something down?
I would hope so.
Worst. No, I didn't write. Fuck. I didn't save it. Worst moment of the decade. Come back. You gotta come back to me on this one.
The one time, the final fucking thing, and Smitty's not ready for it. One thing. It's insane. New Year, same Smith.
It's the worst.
Yeah, I even told Nick in the beginning of this. I was like, you coming out and making putting a worst stuff category is like shit. Fuck me, because it was the most difficult thing to figure out in 2019 and the decade. But man, I love the one I picked. Nick, what's your worst?
This is it's probably a hot take. Jinder Mahal becoming the WWE champion.
Really?
And I say that because not very long before he became the champion, he was pretty much a jobber. And, you know, there have been people that have worked their way from jobber to below mid-card to mid-card, back down to jobber and back and forth, and have paid their dues and gotten these opportunities and still didn't get a title shot, that have way better work rate than Jinder Mahal, that are way more over, either way, heel or face, way more over than he ever was. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, here you go. And then they took it away from him whenever he lost it. I think it was to AJ Styles.
Lost AJ Styles, MSG.
And we really ain't seen him since. I mean, for the most part, he's a fucking ghost.
Yeah, we see the Singh brothers more
Right.
than we see Jinder at this point.
So to me, what a big fucking waste of
no, it
time.
wasn't.
God,
It still,
yeah,
made, it
right
still
now.
made them money in India and
I-
got that deal off the ground. So
For me
really,
as a fan, waste of fucking
And
time.
I liked it. I liked it because I thought he was a pure fucking old school heel.
Yep.
I
got
I
real
like that
heat
run.
for
I,
it.
I like that run. Not go away
6
either
months.
like Corbin had for a while.
For me, it was go away heat.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Z, worst moment of the decade.
in all of wrestling, the floundering of TNA.
Okay.
I mean, they finally, Impact has finally gotten on their feet again. It took a lot of rebuilding, but
And the Hardys.
it was, well, yeah, but it was, I mean, week after week, they were, was taking money from talents. They were losing this. Dixie wasn't helping.
Dixie.
I mean, really, the worst moment, the worst thing of the decade was probably, the floundering of TNA.
All right. Smitty, you got something yet?
Just the misuse of talent in WWE
Okay.
in general. There's a lot of guys that have gotten themselves over, but have had the rug pulled under them over the decade. There's a lot of guys that probably that the company did never listen to the fans for their own interest. This is stuff like that, I guess, would be the worst moment of the decade.
So yours plays into Nick's, mine plays into Z's. The beginning, to me, of what happened to TNA before it came back. And it's really funny that you mentioned the Hardys, because the biggest problem with me was Jeff Hardy versus Sting. in
Oh, he was so fucking
2011.
high.
Joker Sting or
When Jeff Hardy came to the ring drunk
And
as
high as fuck.
There's another one I gotta
Trash.
go back and watch.
Oh, you haven't seen
I
that?
have Impact
Jeff
Plus.
Hardy versus
bad.
Sting, Victory Road, 2011.
It's bad.
It signified everything that started to go to shit for TNA.
Wasn't that when Dixie and Jarrett came out and pretty much told Sting to just roll him up or something like that?
Something maybe before the match.
And this
I
is a
don't know.
TNA pay-per-view.
This is a TNA.
TNA
Yeah, you
pay-per-view.
can watch it on fucking YouTube.
Yeah.
I
It's a
actually have
10-minute
Impact
clip.
Plus.
10-minute clip. Why? Because the match is like 4 minutes of it.
Yep.
It was an absolute fucking shit show.
It was like Matt Hardy versus Edge if they were both drunk and high.
It was bad.
The 4-minute
and it
beatdown.
definitely started what was the absolute, and like
Decline.
it tried to stay around.
And what's funny is Jeff Jarrett is the one that was like, oh, he's wrestling drunk in the ring. And then, a couple years later, who's entering rehab? None other than Double J.
Yep. So
And
to
everyone's
me,
fucking Kurt
2011
Angle's out.
Victory Road TNA Jeff Hardy versus Sting is the worst fucking moment of the decade.
Ooh, honorable
Wow.
mention. The return and fail of the Angle career. He came back out of retirement, and it was great, and I was happy, and I marked out. And then he had a couple matches, and I was like, no, just go away. Just stop it. Just stop.
Jason Jordan storyline.
One of those matches was good. That's it. Like that first match back when he was with the Shield was horrid. His next match, we all said it. Oh my God, if Angle moves like that for this run, we're good. And then he did it again.
Yep, exactly.
And I was okay with. A lot of people were pissed off that Corbin finished him, but you go out on your back, man. Sorry,
Went out on his back and he put over Corbin, and Corbin's one of the top heels, and it's just another thing in that long list that Corbin says when he comes out that gets him heat. So
Right.
it was actually
the worst thing about
Yeah.
that is that he doesn't mention retiring Angle that often.
anymore.
Yeah.
But he used to be.
Now he's got so much shit.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Dog food.
He,
That's the fucker's got.
I'm a Golden Glove winner, blah blah blah, and I retired. It got him heat, and then he started his little list of like, this is what I did, and they boo him.
Yeah. Which is really funny that was part of one of the pay per view that all of us were like, top fucking pay per view of the year. And it's one of the moments we're like, oh fuck. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for us. Next week when we come back, we are definitely going to get into a lot of the stuff that's going on. We're going to talk Wrestle Kingdom. We're going to talk Impact's
Yeah,
Hard to
all
Kill
5
pay-per-view.
days of it.
We're going to have a conversation about all the upcoming build to Royal Rumble. Royal Rumble, again, we're going to have a huge party with our boys Knockouts at 3 Counts at the Buffalo Wild Wings in downtown Detroit, January 26th, second floor. Huge fucking party. Come on.
Huge.
It's huge. So big, we're going to build a wall around it. No one's going to be let in. If you're
Smitty's not allowed.
a rapist or a drug dealer or Smitty, you're not allowed in. Sorry. We will be there at the Buffalo Wild Wings, downtown Detroit, January 26th, Sunday, January 26th. Kicking off probably an hour before the pay-per-view, so 6 o'clock is what we usually do. Time subject to change depending on what WWE decides to do for their start of the pay-per-view. But yeah, next week, we'll go into the build for that. We'll go into Wrestle Kingdom. We'll go into Hard to Kill. We'll talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you go to breakingdownthering.com. Get some of our merch. Follow us on all of our social media at BDRcast. And we are your ring crew.
That nigga Smitty.
Your friendly neighborhood Nicka.
That Whitey Z.
That white is he?
And me, the almighty.